Commissioners meeting for November 21st, 2014. We're meeting on a Friday. I guess I'd admit it's because of me. I was on vacation, and I felt that we still needed to have a meeting to go over the budget. Next week we need to have it finalized, and so therefore we're meeting today. I had a cancer removed on my temple yesterday morning at 8 o'clock and got back at home around 12 o'clock. Hopefully they got it all. Do you have anything to report on, Commissioner?
I didn't make a note here, but well, we had the cooperative extension monthly advisory meeting. Ken LaValle has been was selected by UNH to be the new dean of the college and to head up cooperative extension. He's been with the organization for quite some time and has been the acting administrator since Dean Pike retired. But other than that, we evaluated two individuals, Klaus and Scribbs, Wendy Scribner, the forester. Both got outstanding recommendations, and that was about it. I wasn't able to go to the Wednesday morning breakfast. I let our new partner in crime here know that it was going on. He attended, and thank you very much, Denny, for going and representing us. And that's about it.
Okay, I don't see public input listed, but we'll have public input now?
Public input's down the bottom.
I know, I saw it.
Oh.
Anybody have public input before we really get started here? Okay. Okay, first item then is Lisa Scott. You're here this morning.
No battery in your clock or what?
Downstairs.
Thank you.
Some new gifts. And this is a letter that I received yesterday that I believe you probably did as well.
Yeah, I get a copy of that.
Yep.
That letter from the New Hampshire Electric Co-op was when I was chatting with the Grafton County Registrar. She contacted him and he contacted me, and that is the result of the conversation with them.
Okay. You want to go over any of this?
Yes, please.
In your handout?
Well, I'm here at your request to
Yep.
share my studies of the impact going online has made to other New Hampshire counties' budgets, and to present a conservative estimate of how this undertaking would affect Carroll County Registry of Deeds budget. Over the past 30 years, Carroll County has made a large investment in scanning all the records recorded in the Carroll County deeds. Much time and money and energy has gone into making these records digital. Ann Ayton, our current register, recently reports that now all the books from 1840 to date are digitized. We've made a large investment in digital technology, and I believe we're ready to move forward. I propose we can reap some benefits from this investment. I will continue to store documents in paper and plans on Mylar, and we will maintain current systems. But in addition, we could offer access to the images online as all the other New Hampshire counties have done. So I visited and consulted with the registrars in both Belknap County and Stratford counties, and I've examined their budgets. I've spoken with the registrars in Grafton, Coas, Sullivan, and Merrimack counties, and have a call in to speak with the Rockingham Registry. I've presented a conservative estimate based on the actual experience of other registries. And overwhelmingly, the registrars queried have indicated they have experienced increased revenues and decreased expenditures associated with this undertaking. 9 of the 10 counties utilize the service of the same vendor that we do, Fiddler's Technology, which is formerly known as Connor & Connor. And this budget estimate is based on their information. I've not gone out and solicited other information from other vendors at this time. Overwhelmingly, the registries queried have indicated they've experienced, they've been very happy with the service provided by Fiddler. So the handout provides, first page is a 2015 operational plan for the Carroll County Registry of Deeds. Second is the proposed budget adjustments to realize online access. Third is
Excuse me, Lisa, where is 2?
2.
What's it look like?
It's page 2 of 3. On the top.
Okay, yeah.
It's 7 items.
Yep. Oh, okay.
Okay. 3 is 2015 Carroll County Registry of Deeds budget proposed by the current registrar and additional revenues and expenses anticipated to implement online service. That's a 2-page spreadsheet, which looks like this, except mine's put together and yours is separated. The 4th page is the Belknap County Registry of Deeds Internet Use Print Copies chart. It's just the internet copies. I'd like to make that clear. 5th page is the annual report, the Belknap County copy revenue per annual report. It looks like this, 2000 to 2013, and it's the total copy revenue, both in-house and internet copy. The 6th page is Stratford County revenue, in-house and internet. It's from 2002 to date, and it's 3 pages, and it looks like this.
Commissioner Kenney will be here in 10 minutes.
So the data provided shows the following trends. Total copy revenue is increased subsequent to going online. The instant access and the ease and convenience of printing from the internet has contributed to this increase. The expenses of producing copies in-house has decreased. I don't know enough to give an exact number on those. I am not familiar enough about the expenses at the registry right now to put a number to that. Utilization of in-house services at the registries have decreased because people help themselves. So if you refer to the proposed budget adjustments to realize online access handout, there are 7 items that explain the numbers, and I'd be glad to go over them with you. And I would encourage you to identify funding for this undertaking as an option in your Commissioner's 2015 budget presented to the Carroll County Delegation.
Ms. Scott, would it be possible to get a copy of all you've presented for the record?
I gave you a packet. It's right there.
Oh, this right here? Is
Yes.
mine? Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, I'd be glad to give you mine when I leave, but I'm not sure when I leave. 5,000.
Lisa, Anna has proposed that we can, a reduction in the size of the staff for the upcoming budget. And I know you haven't had a chance to spend a lot of time there, but would you be comfortable with a reduction in the size of the staff that Anna's proposed?
Well,
In her budget, she wants to put it back in.
in the sense that redacting is something that I believe needs to be done before online access is made available.
Okay.
Take Social Security numbers off the records that exist right now. For the time being, until the process of redacting is complete, I think we need the staff to do it. If you look at item 3 here, retain money in the salary line of the budget as in last year's budget. What the redacting, let's see here, I have a file on it, and it is enumerated in here. There are, where did I have it, but let's see. Guess I didn't spell it out very well here, but in the process of redacting, there are many documents that need to be redacted. There are from 1990 to date 1772 books with approximately 1,000 documents in each book that would need to be flipped through.
I understand, I mean, they're currently working on that, I'm just not sure how much of it's finished.
It's not been done at all, the redacting process. That would need to be done. And I've estimated over, I think it's about 3,400 hours of time to get through the process, to look at all the federal tax liens, to look at all the death certificates, and to look at all the mortgages. I myself went through 4 books, which was approximately 4,000 documents in 50 minutes, which was 12 and a half minutes per book.
Okay.
But I'm not sure that can be transferred into exact numbers in the future. I found 20 mortgages with Social Security numbers right on there in the 4-book sequence that I went through. And so we have to go through the books. Then you have to go back and actually use the software, which is provided free by Fiddler Technology, to block out the information, and they estimate that to take about 5 minutes per document.
Okay.
So no, I don't really know. I think I need to be there and work with the crew and find out how things work in order to make that kind of a judgment.
Okay.
But I think once the redacting process is complete, I'm not sure that person would be needed anymore.
Okay.
So it could be a full-time, it could be a part-time, it could be temporary.
Fair enough, I understand.
Have any questions?
Well, I'm a slow reader, I certainly don't have time to.
No, I don't either.
read all of this.
If you look at the chart, the budget chart,
Which does
the
that
page
look like?
additional to implement 2015 online access,
What does that look like?
Right here, it's the second page of this chart, and it's the first column on the second page. So if the schedule were to be as projected, meaning that nothing would be online at least until June, if then, if it were 6 months' worth of expenses this year, the cost might be $7,974 to the county in 2015.
That's the total cost?
That's the total cost for this year, if it went on in June. If it went on after June, the cost would be less because of the monthly fee not being initiated until actual online service is made available. But the initial fee of $7,150 to go online would need to be expended so that the server could actually go in and transfer the images to an online format. And after that's done, the redacting, the blocking out of important information could be started.
How are people gonna pay?
Well, that's an interesting option. I have studied how other counties are doing it. If you look at item 4 on the proposed budget adjustments to realize online access, I propose to add an income account to the budget for an annual internet account fee. $100 to be instituted and assessed on internet users that print documents off-site, meaning attorneys, surveyors, assessors, abstractors, realtors, banks, insurance agents, and such. We currently have 168 billing accounts. If all of them signed up, that would be $16,800 annually.
Okay, excuse me. So they sign up for $100. Now they want a copy. They don't pay for the copy.
Oh, they pay for the copy in addition. They still pay for the
$100
copy.
covers it? They do.
Yeah. And other counties have instituted $1, $2, or $3 a page. I would stick with what we currently are charging, $1 a page, which would encourage people to use the internet and to purchase the copies there and save the mileage and
And
save
who
them
collects
time.
the money?
The county collects the money. It would all go directly to the Registry of Deeds.
So they'd have, how are they gonna do that?
We would have billing just like we do now. We would have
So
billing accounts.
you'd bill, if somebody comes in and pays their $100 fee and buys 2 copies in the month of November, you're going to send them a bill for $2 or $3?
Mhm.
Have you increased, have you increased your, shown an increase in your postage rate here?
Well, I would plan to use e-billing with this internet account access.
That costs something, doesn't it?
Now, it doesn't cost anything in postage.
But I mean, it's a service that somebody's doing, somebody has to pay for it.
Well,
Credit cards, that's not free.
no, e-billing would it would be, instead of mailing out bills,
Yeah.
producing them in paper, it would be emailing them bills.
Emailing them a bill.
Emailing them a
Okay.
bill. So with an internet account setup would be an internet e-billing for those that can do
And
it.
so what happens from there? They get the bill and they
They
write a
send-
check and send it to our bank, or they send
They
it
send
here?
it to the Registry of Deeds, and then we take the check and swipe it through into our account.
Okay.
Now, if you look at the other 2 counties in the examples here, Belknap County, which is the most comparable to Carroll County, we mirror image one another on docket count. I believe they used to have about an equal number of account holders at Belknap County. Now they have 660 account holders because of the increased use of the internet. Grafton County has 425 account holders. Grafton County does have an annual internet account fee of $125. Last year they had $41,150 added to their budget from this fee. This year they project it to go up to $50,000. The pattern is that the internet accounts bring in money and they increase as time goes. Merrimack County assesses a monthly fee, which would be an equivalent of $300 per year for all its subscribers. So what I'm projecting is a very conservative $100 fee, which would go to the users. It wouldn't be for you who wanted to access the internet. You could do that sitting in your couch at home, look at the documents, and not buy them because you didn't have an account. If you wanted to buy them, you could either come in and pick them up, or you could use another service which is provided by Fiddler called Tapestry. And that's for occasional users, whereas an occasional user, you could go in, enter your credit card information, and purchase a copy at a much higher fee. That's $2.50 a page, I believe. But again, these figures depend on two things. One of them is Fiddler Technologies being a part of this estimate, and the other is the income for these accounts would not come in. They might be set up, we might have the checks, but we really couldn't use that income until we provided access to the accounts. So redacting would be first, which in my mind could get started as soon as now. Ann's already started doing a count of the documents. She has a pretty good handle on how many death certificates are out there and federal tax liens, I believe. And the mortgages, I've got an inkling of what's out there. In 4,000 documents, I've done 20. And that could be started in any time. Identifying the documents that need redacting. But the redacting itself can't start until after Fiddler is on board and they have transferred the documents into images that would be online. Which is why I request that you do. I encourage you to identify funding for this. Either put it in your budget or identify it as an option for the delegates.
I think since this is Ann's budget, we need to wait and let the subcommittee of the delegation go through all this information that you provided, which I thank you for doing that. I think if I were you, I would send this out as soon as we find out who the chairman of the delegation, of the subcommittee is. Send that out ahead of time, and they will have meetings starting probably the end of January, and they can add it to the budget if they find that that's what they want to do. And then you would be meeting with that subcommittee to explain exactly what you're doing now, perhaps in more detail.
Just have a comment about that.
Go ahead.
Everyone's coming and make a recommendation on the budget. The commissioners can add or delete. That is what we've been always doing. So we can add this in the budget.
This is a new item. Do you understand what she's talking about?
Yes, I know about
Do you
online.
want to add it to the budget and what you know right
Yes,
now?
that looks good. Yes, because the commissioners can do that.
Well, I know that.
We can take certain items out from the budget, and we can also add it.
Well, I'm glad you understand it. I don't understand it right now. I'd like to take more time to look at it. We have until next week to decide whether we want to put it in the budget or not. Apparently you would like to put it in the budget,
Yes.
and you fully understand everything that she's talked about.
Yeah, we need to go online. It's time now.
I'm not saying we don't, I wouldn't support going online one way or the other. What I'm saying is, you understand everything that she's presented. How much income are we going to derive from
I
this?
just look at this, but I did a little bit research, and it looks good.
It looks good.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Do you have any further comments?
No, I agree with you that it's Annie's budget. I told this to Mrs. Scott the other day. She has ample opportunity to go to the subcommittee and discuss it with them. I'm not putting it in today. We haven't even had a chance to look at this information, verify it, or ask questions about it. I'm gonna leave it up to the subcommittee, as I told Mr. Scott the other day.
Okay,
Commissioner Sorensen, could I request that you identify it as an option for the delegation in your budget? Identify it not necessarily as your recommendation, but that you recommend they look at it as an option for including in the delegate's budget.
well, I think we can appear at the subcommittee. We attend most of, excuse me, most of the subcommittees. And we can then say we support it or we don't support it. Okay? So, I would say again that thank you for presenting all this information, doing the research from other counties. We'll look it over and make a decision whether we want to add it to this year's budget or wait and let the county delegation add it to the budget. Go ahead.
You're done. Scott, you're done. You done?
Yeah, go ahead.
Scott, do you have any problem if we contact any of these registrars ourselves and ask questions?
Not at all. Please do. Please do.
Okay, with that said, I thank you for your information and appearing before us this morning.
Thank you
I
very
just
much.
want to say thank you very much and congratulations again.
Okay, Ann, you're on next.
I have a rotten cold, so I don't know how good my voice is. I hope will carry. I'm really appalled that somebody who has not been sworn in as this office has taken the upper hand and come to you for,
It was at our request,
well, then shame on you.
because she had contacted us to see if we put in a budget, and I said, you come to our meeting on Friday morning. So it's not her doing as far as being here.
Well, the budget
We
process,
requested her to be here.
as a department head or an elected official who runs her own office, I gave you a budget prepared at the beginning of October.
Yep.
We did it on October 15th. I knew nothing of what was to happen, and it wasn't anything I was requesting. When I did my budget, I am always more accountable to the county taxpayer than the people who live in foreign ports. I also talked with Barbara Luther. We have 168 accounts. These are accounts of people in our county predominantly or nearby law offices and so forth that record with us so that they have these accounts so they're able to charge and get their copies through us and not having to be here in person. So they don't have to leave their office to come get a copy, as is referred to.
What do you want to talk about the budget?
I'm going to talk about my budget because you changed my numbers, and that I've never had a budget that was increased. I've always had it be decreased, and I think that may be your limits to your power. I'm not sure. I'm not going in downstairs right now. I'm supposed to be off today, and probably should be in bed, but when you brought this into the issue by allowing this. When somebody takes office, they take office as of the date they're sworn in, which this year will be January 7th. When I came into this position, I did not do any of this. I did not try to change things or anything till I came in and could fully assess by seeing what each of my department people do, who's responsible for what, and we made, changes based on that. I have not needed an extra person for 2 years. Last year, I thought it was the economy, the previous year, 2 years ago. And so I thought I'd wait and see. I certainly wasn't going to hire during our slowest months. And when I looked at the budget this year, and considering we've done all our archival projects pretty much to a finish, that I didn't think we were going to need it at all. So that's why I took it out, not for any other reason. The option of whether you think this is in the best interest of the people who live in our county is going to be up to you, but her turn to do that was after she takes office and then deal with the delegation.
I understand.
I know. I'm just telling you that this has created a lot more work for me than I needed to be doing. I also talked with Belknap County. They have over 600 accounts. We don't have 600 people in this area doing title work, okay? You're dealing with foreign entities so that they can access our records. Is going to lose jobs. The people who are now in the vault will probably surely lose. I've had attorneys approach me. They feel that they'll probably be closing their offices. In fact, Lisa, who sat here, her boss was not scheduled to close his office and retire until the end of this year, and it just closed in June. They're all losing business to outside people. So I think there's a lot of things to be considered here, and after I get a chance to look at that, I might be helping you in a more clear way. But as far as the comparison to Belknap, which we are really the closest comparable to, I also talk to Barbara on a regular basis, and she did tell me they had over 600 accounts. 300 or so are more active than the rest of them, and that can be the case. But her copy fees are $2 a page, so if you compare what they get for copies against us, you really have to cut it in half, because and it did come out. If ours were $2 a page, I would have made more than she did. So, whatever. But back to the budget itself, I don't know if you had any other corrections you wanted to make. I really and truly, no matter whether her project takes place or not, we have identified over 17,000 places where, just on federal tax liens and releases, that those numbers appear. We know, we are actually going, not page by page, but looking at certificates on death certificates and finding out whether they do or do not have Social Security numbers on them. Most of them do, but, it cuts down on the numbers. Because I've known this was the mantra of the people who were running. So at least let them know the numbers that they were dealing with. I don't know how long it takes to redact. You can turn pages fast, but I got to tell you, these numbers are not in the same spot on every document, so you're really having to scrutinize the document looking for it, and then I don't know how intense the process is to X out or whatever it is, however the way they block them out. But what you're doing is maintaining two sets of records. The actual record, the true record, is what's in our books, and on if you were here on our computers, you would be seeing the true record. Only the documents that go through the internet are only going to be viewed with the redaction. So you really are maintaining two sets of records. We obviously can't alter a document, but I think it would be naive of any of you to make any quick judgment. I had the opportunity to spend some time with Mr. Miller here, and he got a little bit of an eye-opening. Our systems are wonderful.
Yes, they are.
And they're amazing, but, I think it's what is the purpose of the registry, and who is that information to be provided for. You have no discrimination between who gets these records, whether they're friendly countries, non-friendly countries. We get calls every day from India, people doing titles that think we have everything by physical address. So we're dealing with people who don't even understand our process. So it's up to you people what you decide, and that won't be made until obviously March 31st at midnight down at the court, down at Concord. So it's a lot to digest, and this is not simple procedures. You can see the amount of material she gave you for you to understand it when you don't even understand what I do, is going to be an undertaking for you and the delegation. Because we're talking high-tech, the purpose of the registry, we don't actually index or do anything differently than was done in 1840. We've maintained, we've made them available so people don't have to haul books. We've done the things that make it a lot more comfortable to do this work, but it'll be up to you to make that decision. But basically, what I'm concerned about is what you did to my budget. And I don't think you need another person, period. These girls are they have their regular duties. They also have space on their in their L's for doing archival work. And the biggest part of our archival work is done. So it actually could be a focus on this, and they would have 5 people who could be doing this. So as far as holding over another person to work on that, what my girls are doing right now, I did some of them, and they're doing some, is going through alphabetically for the death certificates, because during the period of 1962 to 1990, those death certificates weren't called death certificates. They just fall under cert, under a certificate, which could be a trustee certificate, a certificate of a bank, it could be anything. So, and we're looking at everything that says certificate and filtering out just where the death certificates are, so that those numbers are available, because I think it's very important that you know what the numbers of people's documents that are here that have social security numbers and may or may not put somebody at risk.
Okay, let's get back to your budget.
Yep.
Excuse me, do you have another copy of that? Didn't that just get passed out?
No, this is on your desk, it's right there. Just turn to page 12.
Can I just make one comment before? Because of the not wanting to go forward with the vote on the contracts for both the software and the hardware that we do with Fiddler, that went out to RFP. There we go.
I saw it in the paper.
Okay.
Yeah.
I figured there's no point in waiting. It's my budget, my turn to do it. I talked with other counties. They said they don't do it because they just get a waiver, because you can't change companies. You just can't.
The waiver that they get is if all commissioners.
Has to be all commissioners, and I knew that wasn't going to happen.
Unanimous, then that would happen.
And that's why I went ahead and did it, so that it will be done in my time period.
Okay.
Okay. I also put out the,
Where it went, David.
Okay, good.
And I think I saw it somewhere, didn't it go in the Conway Daily Sun?
I saw it in the
Yeah.
Conway Daily Sun.
Why in the world do you think you get somebody that would quote on a sophisticated technical piece of specialized equipment?
because
and
if you,
Conway paper.
Okay, I'm just-
Sun?
it is very complicated. However, when we need service, we had one of the technicians was here yesterday for the entire afternoon. They come in, they're based in Exeter. If you cannot have a remote location person being our technology person that comes on site, we can't afford to have our equipment down at all.
Well,
Okay.
the-
Where else did you advertise?
I put it in just the local papers,
Just the local paper.
right? We need,
Good.
the cost for advertising is also expensive, so take your pick.
It's very expensive to advertise. Don't you have an organizational a publication, Registrars of America, or
Yeah, but
something like that you'd advertise in, where you'd have some exposure?
okay, the only county that does not use Fiddler in this state is Merrimack. And Merrimack has to have
And I
that.
didn't ask you that question. I asked you if you had a
There are-
national publication for
There are.
your specific industry where you could advertise and get some greater exposure. We're not talking about Merrimack or any other county.
Well, I have to talk about Merrimack to let you understand what happens. When you
Okay.
get tied in with a remote location software hardware provider, you have no on-the-spot service. Merrimack has their own IT person in-house, so you're paying another salary, insurance, and so forth for a full-time person to be on hand. So if you want me, if it was profitable for any other county to be doing that, they would have done it. Most of them just waive it because we've got a company that's very responsible to us, has somebody right in state, and they travel to us. If they can't fix it off-site, they're here. So I can put it anywhere. I can put it in a national thing, a national organization, but I can't imagine what that's gonna cost.
I would be very expensive, I can assure you, but how about a statewide paper? I mean, how many people selling the kind of equipment that you're looking for, we're getting a bid on, are here in North Conway?
I don't think there's one in the state.
Okay,
I think this is the only one in the state. I'm willing to do whatever you want. I'll put it in the Manchester Union Leader if you want.
Okay, getting back to the budget. Yes, we put that position back in, but no, we took out all the raises that you had put in your budget. We've done this over the past few years that you've been. I think you put in $1 raise
No,
per
I did
hour.
not. No, I did not.
You did not,
This year?
this year, for
No
next,
way.
for next year.
No. Where are you coming up with that figure?
I thought that's what was in your, I don't have it in front of me.
The budget for the salary line got increased by $5,000 alone because of the raise that they're giving to the next Register of Deeds when they set the salaries.
Okay, yep,
The other, I believe, was at 50 cents, and that amounts to $1,040 per person.
okay. You
Or
put
is
in
that
fif-
for the 5?
You put in 50 cents,
Yes.
okay. We took it out. When everybody gets their raise, the non-union people, your people will get the same amount. This has happened the last couple of years where you put in more than what we had recommended.
You didn't give me a recommendation to start my budget. The budget
know you-
said
I
on the
know we
bottom
don't.
line, we encourage you to keep your budget under 2%. My budget was decreased,
I
and
know
then
it
you
was.
added this back on
Yep,
and took away my I don't understand how you're operating, I really don't.
well, it's the way we've operated
Well-
over the years.
Excuse me?
Last year, you put in for $1 per person, per hour.
Right,
We took it out.
I understand that.
So what are you trying to tell me?
You
You
just,
don't understand what I'm doing or what
well,
the
I mean,
board's
that was
doing?
never the way things were done, okay? The department heads made their recommendations.
Yeah,
When I made the $1 last year, was because I knew it would be cut. I didn't do that this year,
okay,
okay?
all right.
I didn't realize, and they were also making up for the fact that I had saved 2.5 years of salary on the basis that they rose to the occasion and got everything done without
Mhm.
me adding to the budget. It also
Okay.
doesn't add under the medical line either. You know, you're not just saving a salary, you're saving insurance.
Okay, you want to talk about anything else?
I
About your
did,
budget?
there were two little minor things that either my addition or somebody else's was wrong. The line on number 82, 412082. It's here as 1,400, it should have been 1,490. 1,490.
What item is that?
Line item 82, microfilming and
Okay,
printer
gotcha.
expense.
Yep,
And
and what are you saying?
it just,
That we changed it?
it's a change in the price of something, so I had to change the price on the line item. On my explanation sheet,
Yeah.
those things, the prices on some of those things have gone up, so I had to add $90 into it.
Okay,
Maybe that was it. You just see. I have to truly say, I've never heard of anybody, I never knew that you could increase my budget. I knew you could cut it, but I did not know you could increase it.
okay, anything else? All right,
You've been given an awful lot of information here that I have absolutely no way to address until I have read it myself.
before you leave, want to give that to Ann, please? I'd like you to tell me how I'm going to answer that. I'll give you a chance to read it.
I did do this,
I
okay?
know you did.
Well, I solved it for them.
The
They had
point-
never sent anything to us. Nothing. It was something between them and the state of New Hampshire. The state of New Hampshire had put a lien against them and didn't release it. I actually called the state, asked them
Mhm.
if they would, I sent them a copy of what, I got this, then I went through it and did the research on it, and these people have an attachment against them, and because they rent out their property up there.
Yeah,
So the association puts a lien on them. But this was not the association putting a lien on it. This was the state of New Hampshire,
okay.
Meals and...
I guess I'm not
Meals-
questioning that. What I'm questioning is what he requested, or what he told me. That it wasn't very professional just to put down writing in the bottom, no letterhead, nothing from the registry of deeds.
Excuse me, I went through the, it was me personally, talked with the people at the state. The
Is-
state said they would send in they would send me one. We recorded it at no cost.
Yeah.
Pam put a note on the bottom in relation to this letter that enclosed is a copy of the release of your lien.
I guess what he's saying, an attorney, was that it was very professionally done, just to handwrite something on the bottom of the page.
Handwrite out stuff every day. Do you know how many notes we're sending out? People send in documents that are, we have an attached sheet with a check mark box. This is what's missing.
I'll take it back.
Wait,
I'll answer.
this attorney ought to be grateful for what I did. I'm sorry. I made 3 phone calls,
Mhm.
including the one to him, 2 to him, one to his wife, one to him.
Okay,
His gripe should be with the state, not with me. I actually rectified his situation.
We can take care of it, Mr. We can take care of it.
we will. Okay,
And I will give
Thank
you a
you.
copy of what we got from the state for him.
okay. Thank you, Ann. Joan?
Thanks for spending time with me, Mr.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Joan Richardson is secretary, clerk,
District manager.
district
Conservation
manager
District.
for the Carroll County Conservation District. If you would just quickly highlight your budget and let us know if there's any increases or any changes.
This year, we did put in an increase, asking for 42,000. We have been at 39,425 since 2007. We haven't come in for any increase for 7 or 8 years because just trying to, operate with what we had and not come to the county with a request because we just was trying to keep taxes down and we was able to operate without it. So we did come in for an increase this year at 42. And basically, we need the expenses for, salary, operating expenses, FICA insurances, office expenses, travel. And so that's why we came in, and also the increased insurance. So, but, I can see the atmosphere here. I don't know if we've never met with the commissioners before, so I don't know if there is a problem with increases this year or what is happening. But if that increase would be a hardship to the county, we could try to keep at level funding again and see if we could make it. I do workshops also to generate income so that the whole burden does not come on to the county. We did an erosion control workshop this year, which generated $1,700 in income, and we also was able to get a grant in order to put up a high tunnel for the county complex here, which generated a little bit of money. So we don't totally depend on the county. We wouldn't even feel right about doing that. So we try to generate as much money as we can on our own to supplement our operating expenses. Definitely, it would be nice to get that increase. I work in the NRCS office, the Natural Resources Conservation Service. I do some things for them. I operate off in my computer, which is a government computer, which are limited on what you can do with these government computers. At some point, we would like a district computer. I'm not even able to put QuickBooks on a government computer, so You know, that's something that we would like to have, but we can get along with what we have at this point. So I was just trying to generate a little bit more income to deal with some of the operating expenses that we have.
So the $2,600 increase is basically,
Insurances, basically, health insurance went up another over $1,000 for this coming
Yeah.
year. So
Yeah.
I was extremely disappointed in that, but.
we all are.
Yeah, I just couldn't believe it, but I won't even go there in conversation, but. So it was basically that, and maybe being able to tuck away a little bit for a computer or something like that. Most of our expenses have remained the same. You know, thank goodness that we are able to operate out of the Natural Resources Conservation Service USDA building. I don't have to pay for lights, heat, you know, a lot of my supplies are furnished by them, so it is a blessing, telephone. So basically, our operating expenses is salary, you know, insurances, and that kind of thing.
Okay. Question?
Well, just a couple of comments. And, you know, first of all, thank you very much for your efforts in getting the high tunnel here.
You're
for
welcome.
us. For the county, I think it'll prove to be a real advantageous.
And we would actually like to build off in that. I am planning to do a pollinator planting here at the county complex next year. So there's other things that we want to do for the county, and it's also coming back to you as a thank you for supporting us for so many years. We want to be able to help the county.
And, you know, this is the second time in 3 days I've heard about people needing a computer. And I'd like to ask the board, I mean, we've got all kinds of units around here. The one in our office, they claimed was so slow it would never work. They paid $90 and it's faster than the one I got at home. Why can't we help people out like this, and if they're willing to pay the $90 to bring it up to speed, why can't, instead of junking them, why can't we help these organizations that help us out?
Well, that's one of the reasons why we have these organizations coming in, to find out what their needs are and what their budget is and why it's increased or stayed the same or whatever.
Well, that doesn't address the issue of all these computers that we have here, and I don't even know if we could get one that would be faster than the one that Joan has. All I know is what I see in our office, how bad this machine was, and now I can't believe how fast it is for $90, and we were gonna junk it.
Mhm.
Seems to me we ought to be able to get some good use out of them someplace.
Could you check downstairs and see how you can get in touch with John Rich? He takes care of all our computers, and if there's anything that's there that's usable, just ask him for it,
Okay,
okay?
okay,
It may not fit your bill, because they are old computers,
yeah.
but you might just as well ask and see what
Mhm.
can be done, and tell him what your needs are, what you can't do on yours. And if it can be done on ours, you're welcome to.
Yeah, thank you. Because my biggest thing, you can't load certain softwares on government computers. There's just a lot of rules and regs that you can't do on that. So, you know, I do bookkeeping the old-fashioned way because I can't do QuickBooks on it, so.
Talk with
And it'd be
him,
nice to come up to the 21st century on my bookkeeping at the office.
talk with him, and it's not a replacement for your governmental computer, but.
A supplement, yeah.
Yeah, you'll have another extra computer in your office. That's
Okay.
good, I'm glad we found out that you needed one,
Yeah, thank you.
okay?
I realize, Mr. Chairman, you're getting a little old, but you might not remember, but Mr. Rich's number is the same as yours at home, except for the first three digits, and I can't remember whether it's 986 or 393.
3994,
Yeah. You ought to be able to handle that one.
you got the first three?
No, I don't have the first three.
Well, I don't either.
I'll check with the business office.
Downstairs, Kathy can get it for you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and he's probably here today,
Oh, okay.
all right? Okay, any other questions?
Can I just have your name for the record?
Joan Richardson.
Did you get a copy of the agenda?
No. I put them all on the
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, Joan, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Melissa?
That's okay. I didn't realize the names were.
Elizabeth Kelly? Yes, oh, hi.
How are you?
I didn't see you come in.
Sneaky that way, I guess.
Elizabeth Kelly is with the Child Advocacy Center down in Wolfboro.
In Conway now, actually.
And what?
In Conway now. We have
In
a
Conway now.
satellite office in Conway now
Okay.
as well.
Tell us a little bit about your budget.
Sure. We're asking for level funding at $50,000. That support from the county is really helpful. It's a good partnership for us to be able to provide services. We provide services to every law enforcement jurisdiction in the county of Carroll. Any child in Carroll County has access to our services.
Excuse me, Dave, point of order.
Go ahead.
Liz, do you have a copy of your budget?
I actually
We have
do, yeah.
copies.
I had sent over this.
All we got is this,
All that stuff there, I think.
no?
I printed off a couple of extra applications for you folks if you'd like one.
In those folders?
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, Liz, she gave us, we only got one copy, so.
Oh,
That's all right.
I
No,
actually
we got
have a couple
copies.
extras, if you need them.
Here it is here, here's one copy for someone that wants to look at them. There were single copies of all of them, I didn't realize we had Jones here too.
So,
You don't have another copy?
I
you?
do, I printed. I apologize because I didn't staple them.
Now your phone.
Here you go. Here, do you need two copies? I have.
If you have another one, I'd like to have one.
Okay. Sorry, they're not, it's not stapled.
It's good, thank you very much.
So as you can see, our budget for 2014, the budget at the center has increased, but the amount of funding that we're asking the county for has stayed level at $50,000.
I guess, how do you do your fundraising?
We have a variety of fundraising events. We have a golf tournament every year. We do a friend raiser at Buc-ee's in Molten Borough. We also do a calendar raffle in April. I just finished our year-end solicitation letter. A lot of our fundraising comes from individual and business donations. So it's a nice public-private partnership. We also get some grant funds. Our grants have, unfortunately, we are eligible for the Victim of Crime Act grant, which the funding has unfortunately decreased over the past couple of years.
On the grants?
On that grant, yeah, on a few of our grants.
But your budget shows you're gonna get more in 15.
Yes, we are hoping to get some more grants from foundations and from, we just went through a national accreditation process, so we are now a nationally accredited child advocacy center, which is quite a coup for our county.
That's great.
Yeah. We just found out last month, so we're hoping that will help us with grant donors and with funders to kind of show that we're actually following best practice standards. It's not only good for our organization and the children that we serve, but I think it will be good for our funders too.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Whenever there's a report of child abuse or severe neglect anywhere in Carroll County, we work with, we receive a referral either from law enforcement or from the Division of Children, Youth, and Families. And we work as a multidisciplinary team to aid in the investigation, prosecution of all of those child abuse cases. We provide forensic interviewing services on site in either of our locations. We have a building in Wolfboro, that's our main location. It was actually donated to us in 2006, and we've refinished it for our purposes. And we also rent some space in Conway. We opened that second office in 2010. So we provide all of the forensic interviewing services for the 15 law enforcement jurisdictions within Carroll County. We have specialized interviewers. Myself, I do a lot of the interviews, and I have a counterpart now. Her name's Elizabeth D'Angelo, and she works part-time at the center and is able to provide forensic interviewing services as well. We also provide case coordination services, and we meet monthly with our multidisciplinary team, which includes law enforcement, so all the jurisdictions of law enforcement, the Division of Children, Youth, and Families, the County Attorney's Office, mental health experts, medical experts, Starting Point, which is our victim advocacy services, and of course us, so the CAC.
You use this group as an advisory group?
We use it to ensure that none of these cases are falling through the cracks. So we follow the case from the initial disclosure that the child makes of abuse, right up until there's a final disposition either in court or the family has received whatever services they need. So we follow it right up until there's a disposition with prosecution, or we decide not to prosecute it for there are a variety of reasons.
Do they do anything with the budget? Do they set the budget, that group, or do you have another group? Or
We
do
have
you
a
do
board
it?
of directors,
That's what I was
a
looking for, I
volunteer
guess.
board of directors, yeah.
Okay. And they represent most towns in the county?
Yeah, we have, our board president is from Bartlett, our treasurer is from Wolfboro, our vice president's from Moulton Borough, so we have, we have a bit of diversity. We have 8 members on our board, so.
And you have a treasurer, I assume?
Yes.
You said from,
She actually lives in Wolfboro. She's a
Wolfboro.
retiree in Wolfboro.
does
so.
she sign all the checks?
She doesn't. We, any expense over $500, I have to have approved by the full board.
Oh, okay.
But then I'm authorized to sign it. And expenses below $500 are, we review our budget monthly with the board, but I'm authorized to
Okay.
sign those checks.
Yeah, you have a question?
This sounds very similar to what CASA does. What's the difference between what CASA is providing and what your organization is doing?
That's a good question. I actually get that a lot. It sounds like, CASA is a great program of volunteers. We provide forensic interview services, so CASA is appointed to children throughout the court process, typically in family court. We are more focused on the criminal aspect of crimes against children, so the forensic interviewing services that we provide, basically what used to happen is kids would be, they'd disclose that they were sexually abused or physically abused, and they'd be questioned by a police officer who, in a small county like Carroll, sometimes they don't get that many cases, so they don't have a lot of expertise talking to children. And then they'd be questioned by a social worker, maybe their principal, a guidance counselor, and on and on. What we do is we bring all those people together to help kids through the process of the prosecution, through the court process, through the investigative process. CASA is a great organization, but they would kind of come in before
Okay.
they'd have access to these cases.
Okay.
You had a question?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Excuse me just a second. Thank you. Liz, do you go to the towns to?
No, we don't. We felt that would be a duplication of, asking the county and
I
asking
think I
the
would
town.
think that way too.
Yeah.
So you just come to the county.
Yeah, and we've had a really good partnership. There are studies that show that child advocacy centers save communities a lot of money for every child abuse case. Having a CAC in a community saves $1,400, and we serve about 100 kids a year, so it's a significant savings. And I can certainly send you that
overlap-
research if you like.
Excuse me, go ahead.
I was just saying I can send you that research.
Does your organization overlap at all with the county victim witness program?
You mean Starting Point?
No.
No.
Victim witness.
Victim
Oh.
witness that's here in our office?
We work closely with the victim advocates over at the county attorney's office, but no, we don't provide the same services. They're more focused on what happens in the court, preparing children for court, and Melissa and Wanda, who are over there, are great resources for us and for the families that we serve, but a lot of our cases don't ever make it to the county attorney's office because there's a juvenile perpetrator, so it would be handled in district court or for a variety of reasons. So I wouldn't see it as a duplication of services at all. We also provide more investigative services, whereas they're kind of more providing advocacy services after the initial investigation has concluded.
Well, if you don't, we've got a room over here with teddy bears and everything else, and you got it somewhere else, you must overlap with them somewhere. I mean, why is it duplication in this investigation?
I'm not sure what room you're referring to.
Right across the hall.
I know that before we had a CAC, a lot of these child forensic interviews were done at the Sheriff's Department, but they're all done in Wolfboro now, or in my Conway office.
Yeah, there was a special room in the Sheriff's Department.
There was. I never saw it
One-way
actually.
camera, viewing and so forth, yeah.
Yeah, and we do all the same thing now. We actually have recording equipment so that we don't have to worry about, taking notes and things like that. And there's, to preserve those
Isn't that a
interviews.
duplication of efforts between you and the sheriff?
No, the Sheriff's Department doesn't do forensic interviews here anymore.
They used to, but they don't do
They
it
used to,
anymore.
but they don't. We have all the forensic interviews done by myself or Beth, or there are some police officers that are trained. You have to go through a certification process to be able to provide forensic interviews. There's one police officer in Marlboro, but she conducts interviews at the CAC on an as-needed basis.
Have your cases pretty much stayed the same over the last 5 years?
Yeah, with slight variations. I'd say we've gotten between, 70, which was our lowest year. We had about 68 cases, I think, to 95, I think was our highest year. But it's usually right around 90.
Go ahead.
I noticed here in travel and lodging, you've increased that pretty substantially over what you probably will use for the year. Why?
That's a good question. The travel is a significant portion of that is us traveling from our Wolfboro office to our Conway office. So to pay our employees, myself and my employee, for the expense of that travel. It's 42 miles each way in between our offices. And the other increase on that, we did receive a grant this year from the Bald Peak Charitable Foundation, which is going to pay for us to go to 2 trainings. So one would be advanced forensic interview training for my staff person, and the other training would be for me to be providing extended forensic interviews, which is just kind of a specialized process. So it would be for me to be able to receive that training. So that travel and lodging is increased because of those grant funds.
It's all
that
out
we
of state?
received. Yeah,
Those
it
meetings?
is. Yeah, it's pretty specialized training. So
So where is your office?
my office is at 56 Union Street in Wolfboro.
So if you go to work in Conway, you get paid for traveling up there?
Yeah,
You just said.
Yeah.
yeah. If I travel from my Wolfboro office to my Conway office and back again, then I'd get paid for both of those trips.
Okay.
We also have to travel to Concord, and we travel to, different places for meetings and things like that. It's a big county.
Well, I'm glad to see that both you and your assistant are getting additional training. You can always use training. More education is always better.
Yeah, and it's good too to, we have the opportunity to bring it back to the county too and kind of share some of it with the folks we work with.
Can I get some more questions?
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman? Elizabeth, what a unit of service? I know what a unit of service is. How do you calculate it, and why does it appear to be so high?
Our total number of units of service, those are just each child that comes to the center, each case that we get, we count that as 1 unit of service. So
if you talk to the child 10 times or 2 times,
it's 1
it
unit.
would still show up as 1 unit of service?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's fair enough.
In addition to meeting with the child, we also staff it at a monthly case review meeting, which we meet with, as I said, my multidisciplinary team. So, at this point, we have about 40 open cases on our agenda that we're staffing all the time and kind of providing follow-up services. But we only count each case as one.
Good.
Further, you're expecting an increase in crime in the next year?
Well, we had 90 cases in 2013. We were on target to get about 95 this year, so I figured 90
Well, I
or
don't know,
95.
but 9 into 64, you're only adding 18 more, that doesn't come out anywhere near 95.
Yeah, that's true, and we tend to be a little bit busier. If you look at the trends, it's really hard to kind of qualify this data with only 5 years of it, but if you look at the trends, sadly, we tend to be pretty busy around Thanksgiving, Christmas. December's a really busy month for us, so.
Do you have any explanation why, for instance, Conway, you've served 25 individuals? First of all, is it serving an individual, is that one child or one family or however?
It's one child and their family.
And their family. So basically, it's 25 families.
Yeah. I mean, this is estimated based on my numbers. You know, I probably receive about a third of my cases from just the Conway Police Department.
So you don't keep any accurate records?
No, I do. I just didn't. It wasn't asked for in this application. It just asked for an estimation. So I'd be happy to provide you with my.
No, just as long as you feel they're somewhere near accurate.
Oh yeah, this is based on data that we have. I'd be happy to provide you with my year-end report from last year or our operational reports. We track it monthly for the board to report to them. So.
Any further questions?
Just a second.
Ash, you have any questions?
No,
Okay, thank you very much for coming in.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I would invite any of you to come and contact me, and I'd be happy to give you a tour of the center if you'd like.
Yeah.
It's a nice little
He's
facility.
going to be our next commissioner.
Oh, congratulations.
Okay, Karen,
She's not here, but we are trying to fill in for her.
is Carroll County Health and Home Services, which you had combined, right?
Combined. First of all, I'm Sandy Rook, I'm the executive director of the
Excuse
really
me,
long
just a
named.
second.
Okay.
David, where is the paperwork?
Right here.
You got it? Okay.
Do we have a couple of?
Do you have a couple of extras?
Here's, do you need two?
Oh, if you
Thank you.
Yeah, then we could share this one. There you go.
Thank you very much.
I'm Sandy Rook, I'm the executive director of Visiting Nurse Home Care and Hospice of Carroll County. Deb Holmes is our human resources and our long-term care program oversight person. You're correct, we had merged what used to be Carroll County Health and Home Care and Visiting Nurses of Northern Carroll County almost 3 years ago now. 2
Yeah.
years, yeah,
Yeah.
it'll be 3 years, January 1st. Hoping with that model, it was a different model in the state, splitting out what's the skilled care and long-term care programs and merging them together to make a more cohesive program so that flow and care is delivered more seamlessly.
Good.
So what we're here today is requesting level funding from the county for our, specifically for our long-term care services program. One of them, and BEAS has changed how they provided the services and how they labeled it, but looking for one of our BEAS program for Title 3B and Title 20, and then Choices for Independence, which is a Medicaid waiver program. Both these programs, the goal is to keep under Choices for Independence, or CFI, it's people that would normally qualify for nursing home level of care and yet remain in their own homes. So they receive some nursing services, but more supports through home health aides and homemakers. The BES programs are similar in that they provide supportive services. With those, a little bit unusual, we're required because of our Medicare rules to provide nursing, but nursing is not reimbursed. So all the costs that the state funds us for is just specifically for home health aid services and our homemaker services. Neither program has received any increase in state funding in 7 or more years, so those are level funded. The CFI, which is our Medicaid program, within the next year will go to a Medicaid managed care. And our experience with straight Medicaid is that despite, I think, a valiant effort on the state's part, has greatly increased our administrative burden because of prior authorizations. It's just been extremely difficult. So we do anticipate that it may not be a smooth process as that whole group transitions over to an MCO. We are requesting level funding. And we also, similar to, I think it was Elizabeth who was here, we do not go to the individual towns because we definitely feel that's duplication of requests. And we've been, had a great relationship with the county for many years, so looking specifically for those programs.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
I'm sorry, are you Sandra?
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you. Could you tell us a little bit about why, it says here, Bureau of Elderly and Adult Services in the titles, why you're funding those programs? You say they're underfunded and the costs keep going up.
Why we provide the services, it's part of our mission.
Is
as
used
a-
to support those.
Yeah, you know, it's part of our mission in, if we didn't do it, probably there wouldn't be any other agency that does do it. This is part of the mission of home care, is we provide these services. If not for the supportive services, and people are on these programs for years, they stay out of hospitals, they stay out of nursing homes, they stay out of.
So these are the ones that are not in nursing home,
Correct.
because our
Correct.
budget keeps jumping up 200,000 a year.
How
Yeah.
about 400,000?
Well, 400,
Yeah.
but at least
And,
200.
No, these people are at home, and the goal is, until the cost of providing services at home through a variety of state programs starts to exceed the cost of a nursing home, we make every effort to keep them in their homes and keep them safe and independent.
Well, our concern, Sandra, is this, the Bureau of Elderly and Adult Services sends us a bill every year that we have to pay, that nobody can figure out why
The
the bill
formula.
is, the formula for the bill. 2 years ago, it was, I think, $300,000. Last year, it was $400,000. This year, it's $360,000, and you're telling us that you're not getting enough money from it.
We don't. You know, I don't understand the inner workings of the state, and unless I understood the content of the bills that the county receives, I really can't address that perspective. I can only look at the services we provide and the funding we receive to be compensated for that services.
Who do you deal with when you talk with the Bureau of Adult Services?
A lot of times it's, and they've gone through different changes. It's Diane Langley is one person, Susan Lombard is another.
Wait a minute, Diane what?
Langley, and she just,
Who's the other, Sandra?
Susan Lombard, and I can send you their contact information. It is, I will say, it's very confusing. Our Home Care Association has a lot of meetings about funding, about the processes of getting authorizations, about gaps in getting people onto these services, and it's really convoluted.
And frustrating.
Godspeed
Yeah.
to.
Believe me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
You
know
know.
But if we can help you in any way, I'm more
We've
than
asked them to
happy
come here and they
won't
decline.
Yeah, they won't. You have to go to conference.
So the alternative would be not to pay our bill and see if they show up then.
You do
Yeah.
Probably with
wonder,
an attorney.
you wonder. Because keeping in mind the mission of providing services, that question, I think you alluded to it, sir, has come up. If we said no, we wouldn't provide the services anymore,
What happens?
then what happens? And it's a real ethical dilemma for our agency as well as many other agencies, and we work closely with other like agencies across the state, especially the rural counties, to say if we didn't do it, who would? But then you balance it with looking at the population of our county that depends on us for these services. And our home health aides and our, they're sometimes the only person, that elderly person's only contact with in
An
the
outside
outside
person,
world
yeah.
in a day, and they become it becomes really important to them, as well as the physical care that's provided and that supportive, promoting health. So,
I don't think anybody's questioning the value of your
Yeah.
program.
Mhm.
It's us digging in to find out why we're trying to pay so much. And we had a lady that was gonna come here, she never showed up, and when the legislator called up and said, the lady told her she was told she couldn't come.
yeah,
And that's not good
It's not
public
good.
it's
relations.
no good.
When
and-
when you go and see, one of your people goes and sees a patient at home,
Mhm.
are you paid whatever it is, the Medicaid rate or the Medicare rate, or how does your billing go out?
We're paid the Medicaid rate for CFI, for the Choices for Independence, and they set those rates. It's a given that every healthcare agency, whether it be hospitals or whatever, we can't make money on Medicaid. They pay less than half your costs. The BEAS programs are similar. In the past,
Wait,
when...
excuse me right there, Sandra, so do you bill Medicaid and the
In the
Bureau
state, yes.
for the same
Separately.
service
No,
to try to?
No, because if you're on a Medicaid waiver program such as CFI, you cannot receive BEAS programs.
So how do you make that decision?
There's different qualifications. The CFI is approved through the state, and they qualify people for, and those are truly the ones that would be in a nursing home if it weren't
For
for
home services.
home services. They have to qualify financially and like medically. So there's two levels of qualification. The BEAS programs, which are the 3B and 20, the homemaker portion has very specific income criteria, but where it's homemaking, they don't require a physical qualification. The other one is based on socioeconomic needs, and they don't assign like a specific income level to it, but it's up to us to not just indiscriminately hand out dollars to people who could pay themselves. So, and those are the things through our intake process we really look at, and we try and assess what's the right program for this person. And oftentimes we'll start out with a smaller number because we want to be conservative. We'll increase it. We'll also decrease it if people are doing well. And there's a lot of research, especially in the hospice environment, that demonstrates people who receive basic human services, basic healthcare services improve. You know, their quality of life improves, and their ability to stay out of hospitals and nursing homes improves. So, but they are separate programs.
I understood you to say that you don't go to the town, is that correct?
We do not, no.
Did the visiting nurse and hospice join up together?
Yes.
Many years ago,
They said earlier.
visiting nurse and
Well,
hospice.
they come to the town, because I was just there last night when they came in and asked for
No,
money.
we do.
I was there. I sat
I bet
there.
it-
Which,
I
it
bet
might have
it
been
was the
Southern Carroll
Tamworth.
County or
Yeah.
Tamworth, but that's not our agency.
Tamworth, probably.
Which town would it
Visiting
be?
Hospice.
nurses.
Which
Oh,
town?
hospice?
Yeah.
Ossipee.
It would have been Southern Carroll
Southern Carroll
County or
County.
Central New Hampshire VNA, and that is important. That's not our agency. We do not provide hospice care in Ossipee. There's a division between long-term care services we provide, because we have grant funding for all of Carroll County, which is this request. Our skilled services, which is our hospice and our mostly Medicare and private insurance reimbursed care, is just Northern Carroll County. So it would be appropriate for hospice of Central New Hampshire to be going to Ossipee if that's the route they choose to go. But we do not.
I think you're right, because as I recall, the lady came from maybe Guilford or
Yeah,
Laconia or
yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah.
So you aren't tied in together.
We're
one-
not.
One hitting the hospice and the other.
Right, and you know, I think that's really confusing,
It is
especially with
confusing.
those border towns of Ossipee, Tamworth, where there might be more one agency that's able to provide services, but no, like I said, we don't go to the towns.
Okay.
But that came up last year too. I'm glad you asked that question, because there was I think there was even an article in the Granite State News about it, about who was asking for funding.
And I made a public correction at your commissioners meeting because I
did,
misstated
We
that.
thank you.
That's right.
It was- Yeah.
Yeah, we thank you for that, so. Actually, Central New Hampshire VNA
It's
thanks you even
confusing.
more than we do, but it's very confusing, and VNA is VNA, you know, people don't differentiate.
So we should correctly strike hospice from the title of this line item.
It's,
That would
I mean,
That
we
would help.
could,
Okay.
you could, yeah, that would be fine. I think it just goes in because it's the name of the
That's all right,
agency,
right.
but that's fine.
Well, it would certainly prevent some confusion.
So none of
That it
the
would.
funding that you're asking for
Is for hospice.
hospice in northern Carroll County?
Correct,
Okay.
correct. It's just for long-term care, which
Okay.
is throughout Carroll County.
You don't have much, but explain to me how you can invest in mutual funds.
From many years ago, home care, the Medicare part of home care was actually able to have some excess funds. We used to depend on our Medicare, that used to be able to fund us, so based on a lot of financial advice, and this probably predated my existence in home care, they did some wise investing. So we do have investments.
That was under
Mary Ellen.
Mary Ellen,
Yep.
right.
So we do have some investments that, you know, as things continue to erode, and unfortunately with the way the government works now, our Medicare margin as universally across home care continues to erode, so we no longer have a cushion that can help build, you know, and sustain other programs. All that is going away.
I know you don't have much, probably $1,500 maybe.
You know, we have,
That's
well,
investment.
agency-wide, we have a little more. That's, you know, what's kind of allocated to the long-term care, yes. It's not an easy world out there.
No.
Now, how do you look at long-term investments? What's under that?
What page you on?
Assets designated by the governing board for long-term investments,
What page you on?
page 9.
That is, investments we have, like in bonds, stock market, whatever, they are all board-designated funds, so that I, as the agency director, I don't have the authority to ever go into our investment funds.
Mhm.
And that's why it says it has the board authorization on it, is that they're board-designated funds.
Okay. You have an investment officer on that board?
We have an independent, yes,
Yeah?
yeah.
Good.
His responsibility is to report to the finance committee. So
Do you work through the New Hampshire Charitable Foundation, or
We
you
have
manage
gotten,
it?
we have gotten grants
outside?
from them. We actually had gotten a grant when we were merging, and they helped fund the process of our merger, a lot of the fees
That's not what I'm
associated with
asking,
that.
Sandy. Do you put your trust funds at the Charitable
We do not right
Foundation?
now.
And you have your own independent
We do.
financial advisor?
And we had looked at that a couple of years ago. It's still kind of on the docket to say, is this a route we'd want to go? The board has just chosen right now to stay with our current model.
Okay.
Any further questions? Ash, you have any questions?
No.
No? All done?
Why don't we go on a bonus system here, David?
What's
If they
that?
can get us any more information on the Bureau of Elderly.
Truly, I would be, I would be.
Nobody can find out anything about it.
I would be happy, we have, I don't know, I'm happy to help you with that, and
It's an
What
enigma.
we're looking for is the formula, what they base their request, what they bill us for.
yeah.
What is the formula that they use? And nobody can tell them.
And this is mostly for like nursing home type funds,
For your nursing home people.
for your nursing home
I don't know
people?
where,
Yeah.
how it comes. It comes
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
Health and
know-
Human Services.
I know they have a way of assessing it, similar to our home care assessment, that will establish a rate, you know,
Mhm.
based on a individual's needs in the nursing home. It's called an MDS form, and that, they submit all this data, and then it spits out, Medicare works the same way, spits out X amount of dollars per resident. I don't know if that's what they're calculating it on, but they
Yeah.
should be able to tell you.
It's a moving target.
It is a
At
moving
best,
target.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
Thank
thank you,
you
ladies.
so much.
Thank you.
very much.
Stay warm, everybody. Yeah.
Good luck. Continue the good work you do.
Thank you. Did you need an extra copy of our?
You do have an extra, if you'd like it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
okay.
This, by the way, is our new commissioner, Mr. Miller, Dennis Miller.
Hi,
Yeah.
for your time.
thank you.
Okay, cooperative extension?
Don't forget to introduce Dennis. Don't forget to introduce Dennis.
Yeah.
I do have extra copies of our budget.
Okay.
I did not go through.
This is UNH Cooperative Extension. Ann Hamilton is the office administrator.
And this is Darrell Comeau, our Director of Finance and Human Resources for UNH Cooperative
Yep, thank you.
Extension at the state level. As you know,
And this is Dennis Miller, who will
yes.
be becoming a new commissioner on the 7th of January. Go ahead.
Okay, as you know, a couple of years back, even though Carroll County Cooperative Extension Office requests the funds, our funds are handled through the University of New Hampshire with that. So Darrell's here to answer questions that might arise from that. Basically, our request for 2015 is up $2,794, which represents a 1.2% bottom line increase. Each line except rent was adjusted by the Consumer Price Index of 1.5% to cover expenses in terms of salary increase, benefits, and operations expenses. It's still less than our 2010 allocation from the county.
And I'm sorry, what is the amount you're up to? It's only $2,000 or something like that. isn't it?
$2,794, correct. Just a little bit about cooperative extension in the Carroll County office. We do have 7 staff members, 4 field specialists, 2 program associates, and 1 administrative assistant. But we also have, because of our regional model that we went to a couple years ago, over 40 field specialists and state specialists from around the state have impacted residents of Carroll County through programming, either directly coming to the county to provide program, or our residents have gone maybe to Stratford County or Belknap County to receive training and workshops.
And that represents 60% of our field and state specialists statewide that serve the residents of Carroll County.
So what does your treasurer do now?
Treasurer just oversees the funds, gives reports to the advisory council, and looks over our monthly reports that come from UNH to make sure things are in line with that.
So are all expenses paid by university?
Correct.
Everything,
Yes.
That we,
including secretary?
yes,
Yep.
yes.
And we do have internal audit process there too that oversees all of our expenses. So
Mhm.
we do have internally controlled systems.
Yes, and they do call you
To check on it.
to check under your travel. If you're off by a couple of miles, they'll actually call and say, what exactly, how did you calculate your mileage? And they also ask, you cannot put any abbreviations on down there.
Different nuances.
Right. So it is looked over, every piece of paper.
Could
and
you
every bill.
explain your unit of service?
Our
Your
unit of
contact.
service, of how we did that is that we count every individual that we have served in the county
Yeah.
by town. And then every unit of service is every contact we have with that person. So that person may come to one of my programs.
Yeah.
That's just one individual, but maybe they also work with Wendy, so that's 2 units, would be 2 units of service. And the same thing with
And
Joy.
if they came
going
back to you
the school.
5 times? Is
Then
that
we would
one?
count them 5 times. as
You would
well.
count them 5 times?
Yes, we would.
Because you have different programs?
Different programs and different nuances. we did put, if you notice at the bottom, unaccounted for by county town, because when the state reporting system, we don't have record of what town everyone comes from people that serve outside this county. And then when we did field day, that was hard to assess who goes to workshops, what town they're from, unless they signed in.
I mean, I happen to be from Wakefield, and I see the number of individuals, Wakefield at 81 and Tamworth at 402. Why isn't this a little more even in the distribution of people?
Okay, it's a good question, and I can explain that. The schools in Conway, Effingham, Tamworth qualify for our Nutrition Connections program because of the amount of students on free and reduced lunch.
Okay.
So Joy, our program associate in nutrition, can actually go into those schools and work with classrooms. Because that program is funded through grants and contracts, correct, from U.S. Department of Agriculture food stamp money, and also expanded food nutrition education. But you have to be a limited income, and so those schools qualify, and so.
And Wakefield wouldn't?
Schools. Wakefield does not qualify.
But as soon
At
as
this
it
time.
did, then they would be eligible to go into that school system as
Yes.
well.
Yes,
Pardon me, Ann, you said Effingham, Tamworth, and Conway?
Conway.
Thank you.
And Ossipee, they work in the after-school program.
And Ossipee, right, they go in the after-school program.
I'll say the same thing here that I said 20 years ago. You people spend altogether too much time chasing around trying to prove your worth. It's a shame. I mean, all the record keeping, counting up units of service.
Yes.
Those of us that are out around in the community know whether the job is getting done or not. And it's just a waste of time and paper and everything else.
Yes. Some of us do keep track of at least
Yeah,
I do, every
absolutely.
single person is in a database that attends my programs. Over the
So it
years.
isn't a case of a lot of time. You press the button and it prints out the contacts
For
that
me,
you've
it
had.
does.
Yeah, okay.
Some people struggle. I'm a little more organized.
Okay. Has any programs changed since last year?
No.
Um,
In terms of
When did
what?
you become an area person? Was that a couple years ago?
2012.
2012. It would be
And-
3 years.
And so, what do you do in your particular job? You're a regional person?
I am regional in food safety. We have 3 field specialists in the state that we each cover a portion of the state. So I also cover a portion of Stratford County, Carroll County, all of Carroll, Belknap, and part of Coos, Berlin, Gorham area. And my travel to compensate for that is paid from the food safety money, not county funds.
Yeah.
It's paid from a special fund that we use to collect fees, for our food safety program, our ServSafe, and that fund uses to pay our travel
Yeah.
to go there. And a portion, of course, a big portion of my salary is also paid from state and federal funds.
For the benefit of our new commissioner, what kinds of programs have you done here on our campus?
Personally.
Either now or in the past?
Right, I've done, in lieu of the county, for example, last week, they hosted a ServSafe program, which is a national food safety certification program. And for hosting at the nursing home, I gave them 2 free registrations to do that. I've also worked with the nursing home in terms of food safety for all employees, and I've also worked with the inmates that do food. Wendy Scribner, our forester, does a lot of work with the timber sales on the county and the path, the trail that's out, the hiking trail that's being put in, working also in conjunction and getting with other agencies to do that. And the firewood, making sure there's enough firewood for the county.
We have a management plan for all our acreage, and it was done by a previous county forester. And what she's doing is following that and marking timber for us.
Yes.
And Wendy does that?
Wendy Scribner.
Yeah, I've met Wendy.
And
And Olivia's.
Olivia does stuff, she is working with Joan, in cooperation with Joan and Will DeWitt on the High Tunnel to extend the growing season, and I believe they are going to be planting onions.
Already have.
They already have with that. And-
Olivia is the food and agriculture
Oh, yes, sorry.
educator, yeah.
Thank you. Food and
Olivia
Agriculture,
Saunders.
Olivia Saunders, and she also, if there were soil tests, like the hay fields have been tested before, to make recommendations for fertilizer
Yeah.
and
Not
stuff.
just fields, but vegetables and fruit as well.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And a couple of, for example, one of the officers at the jail is also a 4-H leader in our shooting sports club,
Mhm.
which is actually one of our most active 4-H clubs. There are at least 40-something
Mhm.
adults and youth that participate in that
And
program.
I see you advertising for a sewing club up in Conway, or
Tamworth.
or
They have a
Tamworth.
leaders,
Tamworth, that's
yeah.
right.
Our leaders, our educators don't directly teach the youth, except in terms of class telemark, may work with some youth directly, but it's all through volunteers. I can get you more information, I'll mail you a packet of information.
And what's the rent up there now? 43?
42,951, which has been that way for the last 3 years.
And we get 2 more years on the extended lease, is that
It's
correct?
1 more year.
1 more year.
And it is
I thought
at
it
the
was
same
I
price.
thought you signed it up for 5 years.
No, that was the original lease was 5 years, and then we went 1 year and then a 2-year at the same rate.
Okay, that's right.
The volunteers at our food pantry that buy food from the New Hampshire Food Bank have to go through a food safety program. Is that similar?
It's me that teaches it.
Oh, you teach that?
Yes, I do.
Oh, okay, now I'm connecting the dots. I got it.
Yes, I've worked with the Wakefield Food Pantry for
Okay.
quite a few years. with-
Okay.
with-
You direct
Janet.
it, don't you, Dennis?
My wife is president.
Well,
Janet.
somebody said that.
Yes.
Now, you've done parenting, you've done financial management at the jail with the,
Inmates in the past.
Inmates,
And
right.
right now, that's Tom Linehan,
right.
who is coming from Merrimack County, is
Mhm.
actually working in the jail.
Mhm.
So that's that regionalization, that specialized more.
Yeah.
And so Tom comes up here and does programming.
Okay. Any further questions?
Well, I have real concerns if Mr. O'Brien is the Speaker of the House. The last time he was Speaker, the state's contribution to the university was cut by 50%. And if it wasn't for President, what was his name?
Huddleston.
Huddleston, who didn't hit the cooperative extension at the same rate they did the other departments at the university, we were able to change the program and exist, but I worry that the same thing will happen again, and you can only cut so far, and you can't keep up the service.
Okay.
One final question.
Sure.
My daughter lives out in Fort Collins, and her boys are in 4-H, and is 4-H a national? I know it's national, but
Yes.
Yes.
do all the states run it the same way, or pretty much?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, it's always a part of the land-grant university in a state. So it's connected to cooperative extension in every state. As far as I know, that's the way 4-H is. And so 4-H is a part of cooperative extension in the land-grant university, and every state works with different leaders, volunteer leaders, to implement it.
Anything further?
And I get a couple other, we've had an increase in 4-H participation over the last couple of years, and an increase in the number of clubs also, that I think is important, involving more kids.
And
I hope
also,
that continues.
the variety of things have changed too.
Mhm.
That, for example, the blacksmithing program that was actually done here at the county complex with Taffy Case, one of our volunteers, and very good response.
And they're gonna duplicate that up in Gause County.
Yes, and they're also doing it in Bartlett, and he's looking for a place in Conway to do it also.
Hmm.
Is that just blacksmithing, or is that a furrier program also?
Just blacksmithing.
Anything else you want to add, either one of you?
No, I just provided some of the graphics for you and additional information in the folder, but if you don't have any additional questions.
And
Okay.
Darrell will be getting a better breakdown for the treasurer on the
Yes.
budget.
Coming in the 2015, Ann is working with our Business Service Center accountant to make some just fine-tune changes in the
Good.
budgetary information, so that will be coming in January.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Yep. Sheriff?
Hello again.
Go ahead.
You have the budget dated November 14th?
Yep.
Ours is
No,
the
no.
20th.
This is the 20th.
This month?
Yeah.
Okay, so I didn't get that.
Oh.
On the line 37, dues license subscription, mine reads 13.5.
What number, Dom?
37?
37.
37?
This one says 4,000.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what it should read, yeah.
Do you want this while you're talking? You can have mine.
So it should read 4,000.
Yeah, this one does.
You did correct it.
The corrected one does.
And what should it be?
Should be the 4,000.
Just have that.
Yeah.
It is 4,000.
We
It
got it.
Okay,
is.
yeah.
Yep. It's the office supplies that was reduced by 500.
By your account, right?
Yeah.
Office supplies, 45.
And that was on the sheriff's side?
Yep.
And that should be 4,000? Is that what you're saying?
No.
No.
We
You wanna
reduced
We
it.
You
reduced
wanna
it from
reduce
5
it?
to 45.
Yeah.
50 to 45.
You want to reduce it by more? Is that what you're
No,
asking?
thank you. I would like to have had a heads up, but that's okay. We'll see if we can work with that. And then I believe you did something with extraditions, if I'm correct.
So where are you now?
Yes, extradition.
I thought you took it out.
Well, that's a question, I guess. I'll take it out as long as it's going into the county attorneys.
And what number is that?
That would be,
093? 193?
Oh,
Okay.
expeditions, okay.
Extraditions.
Didn't we put
because
that
that's
into the
what we used for local.
county attorney?
I know, I looked.
We did a portion last year, but as long as all the extradition money is gonna be somewhere. I believe the county attorney went over the budget. Incorrect. Because that,
It's 4,000 in her budget,
okay,
which is up 1,000 from last year.
okay. If I remember right, the one Florida trip, which we did run into problems with weather, that kept us longer, kind of took that whole amount.
Mhm.
So I guess that hinges on all us getting those violent criminals around the country.
I believe
So-
there's one from New York that she's looking for now. I think it's New York. Whether they,
No, South America.
hmm?
South America.
Yeah, the
South
one that we were
America.
discussing
Yeah,
last meeting was South America.
yeah,
There
that's
was some
right.
question whether Robin was gonna follow through on that.
Yeah.
I'm not showing any, I'm sorry, I'm confused. I'm not showing any conversation or decision to change the extradition line in your budget.
I didn't think so.
I don't see that anywhere, so I don't know why it's changed.
Because it came out of, I know we discussed it, but again, I just don't want the 500 to disappear. If you're putting that 500 for mine into county attorneys, I guess that would be fine. Then I would submit all my bills for extraditions, even through New England, because that's where we took that out of,
Yeah.
to the county attorney. That's why that small amount was there for the New England wide ones.
Yeah, we increased hers by 1,000. She
Solely
had
on-
3,000, and now we,
Solely on their reasoning,
Mhm.
or should it have been 1,500, if you're taking it away from mine?
it was on her recommendation.
I don't remember the sheriff's
So it
office
doesn't
being
sound like
part of
my
the
500.
conversation,
Mine evaporated, it sounds like.
It did.
and I don't know
So I would
why.
recommend, because we had no discussion between me and the county attorney as
Mhm.
far as the New England wide ones. So I'm sure they're under the presumption that we will continue to do those without billing the county attorney's office.
She did say that you would do the New Hampshire and New England ones, and that her budget was for
Out beyond that.
out beyond
right.
that.
So I would recommend keeping that 500.
Put the 500 back in.
Yes.
So, the 500 back in?
And those are for New England wide extraditions.
And the line number on that,
So who
Sheriff?
took it out?
Joe 93.
Well, it was taken out. It wasn't put in initially.
Oh, so he's requesting it now.
Yep. Anything else, Sheriff, in your budget?
No equipment. Which is 97.
Yep.
I had requested 8,000, that was for 8 laptops.
And we left it 8,000.
Since going over the budget and talking with my cruiser setup man, the 3 cruisers that we are asking for next year, we would like to install new equipment, because the equipment that's coming out of the old cruisers is 10-plus years old.
Mhm.
So that would have a price tag of about $18,000.
So you want 18,000 added on to the 8, or 10 added on to the 8?
18 added on to the 8.
18 added onto the 8?
Yes, so it'd be 26.
24,
Why did-
26,000 for the 3
For
cars?
new equipment. But that includes laptops, which I will question, do you want that into the IT? 'Cause they have
Should be
to
at the IT.
How old are your laptops in those cars?
Those are the original Car 54s, those are 15 years old.
The laptops?
We did ask IT if they could be upgraded to accommodate the new system, and he found out that they're not. He cannot replace those hard drives.
So the 3 computers in those cars are 10 years, 15 years
15
old?
years. And I think we have 6 of those.
So what you're saying is we add 1,000 to that bottom line, make that 18,000,
10,000, right?
and take the 8,000 out and put it under the IT budget,
IT.
right?
If you wanted all computer type items into IT, yes.
Repeat that, please.
So this
Yeah.
would be 18 for new equipment,
And IT goes up by 8.
yes. And again, any of the old equipment coming out, we will try and resell. A lot of it is hard because if it's not going to a police agency and they are blue lights only, it can't be changed. The upgrade is not worth for someone to buy it. Some of that equipment can be changed over, light-wise. We did strip out some of the cages and brought those to scrap metal, and I think we
They
got-
wouldn't fit the new cars?
No, and we got $38 for the metal. That went into the general budget.
Okay.
So we're doing what we can to turn some of that over into cash for the general fund.
There's no grant money for the new equipment to go into the
Not
cars?
usually, we will certainly look into that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. They tend not to outfit cruisers with grant money, even laptops. But we will certainly keep looking into that.
Okay.
Dispatch. Don't think we,
You got a question?
Well, yeah, are we gonna go back and discuss the sheriff's budget before we're done, or are we gonna just move on? We're done with it, or what?
We got until next week.
Well, I just wanna make it good and clear. I do not support an increase of $16,000 for the bailiffs.
Oh,
oh yes, you did take that
So
out.
where
also.
are And
Did she take it out, or, oh, yeah, reduce, okay.
Did she do it on
And
the
it-
paperwork?
Actually, I did not, don't remember it being 16,000.
I didn't think we voted on it. I thought I was the only one that said I wasn't gonna do it. Go along with it.
why don't we move it?
Huh?
We took $4,000 out of it.
Oh, court date is 11.
It wouldn't have been 16,000, Dave. That,
Right, it was only 4,000.
yeah.
So it reduces it to 116.
So you put it back to the original.
Oh, my
116.
glasses, my eyes, I gotta get them
Yeah,
over.
I
That's
think
116,
it's already
isn't it?
reduced.
Yeah.
Yeah. it's reduced.
Well, I just don't wanna be confused here. I'm not supporting the increase of whatever it was, 5 or 10 cents
$5.
$5 per day
per day.
to kind of bringing them up to the same pay that
Right.
the AOC is making.
I'm not supporting that. Have we taken that out? I don't think
It's
we did.
taken out, yeah.
You took out my
Took out the
Asked to
4,000.
4.
That 4,000 is the increase of the $5 a day or whatever.
yes, which actually, if you compute it out, is $7,000. So I was gonna obviously work out hours that are worked over there to, they would have to find it within the budget, basically. To cover that whole cost item. So I wasn't asking for the whole coverage of that, because that would have been 123.
So this reduction of $4,000 does include removing the increase you came in
Yes.
here and suggested.
Yeah.
But what you're saying is you're changing the schedule. If you didn't change the schedule, it would cost us $7,000 more? Is that what you said?
If we, right, if we did not work within a more confined
Mhm.
schedule, possibly, that it would, if you computed out that, right now, what we compute for man hours, because it's hard to do for a year, you have
Yeah,
to do this for a
yeah.
year. The state only gives us so much. They do have a pool of money that if you go over, that they draw from, which we have done every year,
Mhm.
and almost every county has done. So that's a figure that I believe we could live with to make that $5 increase happen.
What figure?
the 120.
The 120. We have bailiffs up in Conway?
We do not.
We do not. Because they get paid differently,
They
right?
get paid.
And they get paid more than the bailiffs
They
get here.
paid, yes.
Didn't you just say if you could work it out, it would make the $5 a day happen?
At 120.
At 120.
Well, I want to take out from wherever it is in this budget that seems to be.
You took it out.
You took it out.
I don't want $5 coming back some other way. My vote is no, they don't get a $5 raise. They get the $5 raise 3 years ago, and they should have given it back, and they didn't give it back. And we all sat here and heard the same thing from the
Yeah, it was
delegation.
$10 and they gave $5 back. I
Here.
disagree with the fact that our bailiffs here in the bigger court are doing more job performance than what the state employee is doing up in Conway in a one-court room office.
Has anyone remember there
One
broken a
judge.
sweat? Don't come in here and tell me how hard they work over there. All
You're
rise.
giving someone,
I mean, come on.
you basically, the state pays them $80 a day, you're kicking in $5, you're getting $85 a day to commute wherever they're coming from. They're getting no compensation for that travel. The state is getting 92 to what we believe will be $97 to do the same thing.
And this would bring them up to 90.
This would bring it up to 90.
And they do, it's a per diem job, and they do get overtime.
If they work over that, 8 hours is a set amount.
Per day? If they work over 4 hours,
8 hours.
if they work over 8 hours,
There is a overtime.
they get overtime on that day,
If it
not
goes
based on
beyond-
the week.
If it goes beyond the 15-minute mark, the state, and the state pays that, county doesn't pay that.
Oh, okay. We don't pay
State-
overtime.
The state is us.
And it's our people.
Fine.
Our money.
But I do think that they're very deserving of that $5 increment to kind of catch them up to the state level.
Why doesn't the state go up on theirs?
That's a thing that is being looked into. You know as well as I do that the state is trying to cost shift everything they can, so until they do, I think the county should.
Well, I think you need to take it up with the subcommittee. Anything else with the sheriff's department?
No, that was
No.
it for the sheriff's department.
Dispatch.
Okay, dispatch then?
I
Let
don't
me
have
ask,
anything listed as new equipment. And again, as we talked about before, the grants that are outstanding out there, we're waiting to hear from them. So there's
Yeah.
currently the north-south split, the generator, otherwise, at the tower there, and the large grant that is for the entire communication system. So depending on what those three grants do,
Mhm.
my hands are kind of tied to ask for any new equipment.
Have we got to put any matching dollars in for those grants?
Two of them are split grants, yeah. And they're currently in this year's budget.
In this year's budget?
Yeah, and we've been in communication week in and day out
Yeah,
to try and find out how we're getting it. One is more of a higher priority than the other, the north-south split.
yeah.
So we should hear, hopefully, within the week. The other one is a second-tier level, not as important. So we may not get that by the end of the year, which I would ask for the money to be returned into the next budget.
You want to encumber what funds you have this year into next
Yes.
year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because,
You
again,
told like
theirs
the
doesn't
captain.
end till July, I believe it is.
Okay. Go ahead.
Dawn, refresh my memory, why is your overtime apparently up so much?
Covers sick personnel, time off, and basically, we did have a person that was part-time that was working 4 days a week with no benefits. She has since left to take another job. So we've had to cover that more with overtime.
You don't have any other people you could call in rather than overtime?
We have a couple part-timers. They're full-time elsewhere. So it's very hard to last minute call someone in on the part-time level. But
Okay.
we do have feelers out there to try and get some employees part-time.
Mhm. Any reason why the union was canceled yesterday?
I have no idea. I didn't know until I walked in the room for the meeting.
Well, fortunately, I called in and I was told it was canceled.
I mean, someone mentioned that their side was at the negotiation with another police department, I think.
Then the union should pick up the cost of our attorney for being here.
That's between.
We'll talk about that
your
on
attorney and
Monday.
our attorney.
Is it rescheduled for Monday? Do you know?
I haven't heard. I don't have a date yet.
Okay.
So Clark came all the way up here and didn't know there was no meeting?
Oh, he came up for the,
He was here for
for
others.
the nursing home.
Oh, okay.
We tried to have 2 or 3 of them on the same day, so we don't have him come up multiple times. Okay. Any changes in the dispatch?
No, other than, I guess I would ask for the encumbrances from the grants that may go over the December 31st date before we hear from them.
But you don't have any grant money in this year's budget.
Not in this year's, but again, if we don't get them, that money is slated in this budget. So whatever those amounts are, that,
But you didn't have any money in this year's
but we had
budget.
it in new equipment line, is what it
Oh.
was. Because delegation only wanted to fund $1 in the grant lines, which.
Right. So you didn't spend the total 25,000. You spent roughly 19,000 something, so you want to have that carried over until next year's budget.
Yes, I can get the exact amount for you.
Where did you get the 19 figure? Dave?
Well, they spent 668, and that's as of September,
Yeah, well, where's the 19,000 come from that you're talking about?
minus the 25. Subtract that from the 25, and you get roughly 19. You had 25.
You're saying there's 19,000 that they didn't spend.
Right,
I understood you to say they spent it.
no, they want to carry it over.
Okay.
And I don't know, there may have been other money spent on new equipment since September.
Yeah, because I'll have to get you that, trying to think what the grants was for. So I'm thinking it's more gonna be around 15 between those 2 grants that are out there. Because some of this
So
money.
you want to carry over 15 rather than a 19?
Yeah, some of this money is, new equipment that was bought through the grant that was half cost, so that'll all get ironed out when we get the check from the state.
You got a good idea as to whether we're going to get it or not?
I believe we'll get it, it's just, I'm talking about the 2 small grants right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of, is it gonna be December or is it gonna be March?
Oh, okay.
Because of their prioritized.
And you think our share would be 15,000?
Yeah, roughly.
Okay. Okay. Anything
So
else?
the grants are not in this line item, or they are? I'm confused. They're not in here.
They're not in here, no.
Okay.
What we would do is carry it over
Yep.
till next year, the 15,000, but the balance would be taken out. In other words,
Yeah, that money won't be spent this year, we'll just carry it over.
15,000 would be carried over, right?
And it actually may even be less, I will, by the time the subcommittee meets,
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll get that ironed out.
okay.
So you figure you're gonna spend, out of the 25, you're gonna spend 10,000 between now and the end of the year.
No,
No, out of the 27.
Carrying over carrying 15,000 over?
they got 10,000 to spend, they've only spent 700.
Out of the 27,000,
You
which
spent-
was the adopted budget.
You spent 19, right?
It says we spent
19 out of 27, so you got 7,000
Why,
left.
But we've actually-
27 is the information technology, aren't you talking about new equipment?
Oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah, you're talking about new equipment.
25.
So it's
25.
25,
You're up
of which
one line
you've
item.
spent, call it $700.
Yeah.
You said, you first said 19, and then you said that you would probably end up spending a little bit more, and there'd be 15 left to carry over. That's what I just wrote down when you said it.
Of the 25, we've actually spent 23,000, but half of that is being reimbursed by the state.
Right.
So it's just under $12,000 that we've spent on that grant that we did get in use.
Okay.
Yeah,
So that leaves about $12,000 to $13,000.
That's going to be encumbered and carried over.
Yes.
Okay.
So that 15 that we just spoke about is now down to 13.
yeah.
Doing pretty well. We've gone from 19 to 15 to
Which I said
13.
may be less, I can get the exact
Okay.
number.
Anything else in that budget?
I don't believe so.
Any further questions?
Only one suggestion and I talked to the sheriff about it before. Could you get together with the jail and see if you can't get us some better prices on the ammunition?
Yep, yeah, I did talk to my sergeant to do that, and then we'll look into that.
Jason, can you make sure that it happens on your end? Please?
And then revenue, did you see the revenues?
No.
I have.
You're down 20,000 from last year.
Yeah. The writs are half of that.
Yep.
It looks as though we're gonna be around 87 this year. That has happened all around the state.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of all this new court system stuff that they're trying to do, less paperwork, allowing, taking out steps, and there's lawsuits and all that.
Any other
I don't
changes?
believe it's a sign of the economy getting better, but
Dominic, one of those things in the performance audit was the way we handle the money. How often do you go to the bank?
I
Not you
myself-
personally, but
Well, how often you turn it over
It
to?
looks as though we turn it over at least every other month. You seem to be getting,
you can't,
$10,000.
with all the mileage we put on, nobody goes by the bank but once a month, once every 2 months?
Yeah, but
well, it
he
depends when we get checks and money in, too.
uses the armored car, right, to do that.
Thank you, Eddie.
So what do you
But
want
yeah,
to see?
it's
what
certainly,
government
it's certainly more often than it used to be.
But do you deposit it straight to the bank, or do you give it to our office?
We deposit it to your office.
To
actually.
our
Yeah,
office,
yeah.
right.
You give it into our office
Yes.
once every 2 months?
Sometimes every
I-
other month, but
That would be once every 2
Sometimes.
months.
once a month.
I thought it was once a month,
Now, it's.
depending on what you get.
Right. Because I looked at the deposits, and it looked as though most of them were like $10,000 a month, and then there were a couple $15,000 a month.
Why in the world wouldn't you deposit them? I'll
Again, it
give you a
depends
month,
on
but
where-
I mean, even when you get the money, why don't you put it in? I mean, there are interest-bearing accounts, granted it isn't very much, but at least it's something coming in versus sitting in somebody's drawer.
I will look into that, but I don't think it's,
You get it in
Cost
check or in
effective.
cash?
most of it is checks.
Checks. So when you get the check, you can turn it over to Kathy Gary, and then it can get
Yeah.
deposited.
I mean, I can find out what they.
Okay.
Because again, they have to do these slips and everything, and I don't want them doing a slip for one check.
Mhm.
We'll basically fill out 2 complete slips with check information, deposit slips.
All right, you work that out and try to improve upon it?
How many checks are you receiving?
It's basically the amount of papers that we're serving,
Okay.
because each individual that brings it to us has to give us a separate check.
And we have that system down in the Registry of Deeds where they just run the check through that little machine and it gets, in effect, right into the bank account. Can't we use something like that? Wouldn't that work?
I believe
We could use that
downstairs
in our
going to get
office.
something
Yeah.
like that.
I mean, if it's a live check,
You
there's a
already
lot of equipment right now to deposit that very quickly without a lot of paperwork, is the point. I mean, so, I mean, if you look at what Ann uses down in the Registry of Deeds, when she gets a live check, she runs it through this little reader, and in effect, you get a receipt out of it, and it's in the checking account, so,
Would you mind looking into that for our office,
okay,
and see if we can't get it in our office?
okay,
There's a lot of stuff in our office needs to be
okay.
upgraded, especially accounts receivable and payable.
Yeah.
But if we had that machine,
Yeah, I mean, my background is finance, and I don't like checks laying in an in basket, so I like to get it in the bank ASAP, so,
And it may be more appropriate in the business office because you're getting checks from all the departments.
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Okay, so I'll work with you on that once I get appointed here, or sworn in, or whatever.
okay. Okay, we didn't touch anything in revenue, but you increased the special details. Now, suppose the delegation looks back at 2013, 2014 on the special details. We're talking about $40,000 where you're only budgeting $5,000. Are we cutting back on special details?
No.
As a policy?
No.
Or this is strictly
It's an unknown.
what might be available, an unknown?
Yeah, it's an unknown entity. Again, we've had, as you can see, 2 very successful years as far as commercial details.
Yeah,
That can end tomorrow. I think it's safe enough that we go out to the $5,000.
seems like, to me, you
we
can go
out
up to
to 20. I
$10,000.
mean, it's
I'd go 10 or 15.
it's one of those games.
Has it ever been less than 10 in your memory?
I really can't say that it has. In
Wouldn't
12, it was 17.
Wouldn't 10 be a safe number? I know it's a lot less than, I mean, it's double what you have in there, but it seems to me 10 would be a
Yeah,
fair number.
yeah, I would think so. Let's change that to 10. Agreed?
I'd be in favor of more. I mean, to me,
Well,
it doesn't make
More
any,
would be.
You know, the thing is, there's a lot of unknowns on the revenue side, and, you know, when you start jacking up the revenue and pretty soon that doesn't come in, now you gotta start
Gotta be
cutting
a little
expenses to
conservative.
cover. So, yeah, I think it's good to be conservative on the revenue side, but I think 5 is a little too conservative, and I think
Too
10 would.
conservative. Okay, I'll go along with 10.
What do you expect in other income?
Other income includes,
You went from $1,000 to $10,000.
you're gonna have 3 cruises for sale.
Oh,
And as we've known, we've been pretty
3,000
successful.
apiece?
Yeah.
So
I mean,
you're
we got
about 10?
just over 6,000 for the 2 we sold this year.
What do you auction though? Do they go out to auction or
We've
what?
done a sealed bid through,
Oh, seal bid?
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
Tom's done a nice job, Dennis.
it's actually been the chief deputy.
We used to just turn them in, and he went on to Craigslist and put them out on eBay
Gets a
or
little
one of
more.
them, and we've substantially increased it.
Beautiful. I like that.
Nice sale.
Where does the dispatch get income?
Only through the town of Milton. We dispatch for the town of Milton Fire. And that's the fee, because
Okay.
they're outside the county.
Milton?
Yep.
Yep, okay.
So when you dispatch for Wakefield, for instance, we're not, the town isn't paying for that
Oh, yeah.
at night?
Oh, yes, they are.
Yeah?
Well, explain that.
No,
how
there
that-
there is no service charge.
There is not a service charge.
They choose to whether they join the Ossipee Mountain Valley Association, which I believe they are in.
Okay.
Think that's around $5,000. And they do get benefits from being part of that organization as far as air tanks and stuff like that,
Okay.
filled, training.
Okay.
We are open to the whole county as far as dispatch. Whether they join us or not, it's up to each town individually.
And the county is absorbing that cost?
Yes.
You're not passing it back to
Well,
the town?
it's in the budget
Yeah.
to what it costs to run that dispatch.
It's in the tax rate.
Got it, okay. Okay.
Okay, we got any other further questions?
Nope.
Any other comments? Sheriff, you all set? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I seen you.
Jason?
Good morning.
Good morning, Jason.
Jason.
Hey, Jeff.
Page
24.
24.
I don't know if you introduced your guest before. She's your
So anyone,
financial.
Lori Baggio, administrative
Nice to see
assistant.
you again.
Hi, Laurie, I'm Denny Miller.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard.
Okay. Jail union is meeting Monday, right? Okay.
Yes. Just to double check. Couple things.
Excuse me, Jason, one thing. There's no changes on the,
No, because you didn't review it when you, last time you met.
That's right.
we left.
We didn't
Put
get to
off this and till this meeting. So there was nothing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Quite make enough if you guys want to share, or want to go over here, or have share over here.
Is the young man that painted this getting royalties?
Hope so.
He did a good job.
Well, he did a good job, whatever. Outstanding.
So, you know what, I sat down all day yesterday with Superintendent Pelkey and Lieutenant Brackett from Stratford County. Helping myself and Laura to work on this budget, and I asked some changes for next week of how to actually put some things together. How they put their stuff together makes things a lot easier and cleaner. what I've given there is just a brief overview of what they do kind of in their county, sort of.
Okay.
And then I will have some other changes to make, I think, clean up some things and easier to explain. So, and they helped me set up a lot of stuff yesterday. So, we've been working a lot on this.
This is hopefully going to explain all the changes, right?
It explains what's in each
The
line.
movement of line items. right?
Yeah, and I'm gonna actually, after talking to him, move some things back, which I have, but I have explanations for every single one. I have their explanations for every single
All
one.
right.
Some back and some around.
Jason, might I borrow yours just to run it to HR to make 2 more copies? That,
You got another copy?
for Dennis and for the record of that?
No, it's not really a record. This is way draft. I don't want this on a record yet. This is just a draft I put together.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
So, just to helps explain some of the stuff, and then when I finalize it, I'll get you a final. I
Okay.
just want to know what you,
Okay.
so what we're kind of
Okay.
working on.
Yep.
Yeah.
You waiting for our reaction?
Well, we went through line by line last time I was here.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where you want to go from there.
When were you here? Do you remember? The 5th?
Yeah.
Fine.
Are we at full complement of officers now? Are we still short?
2, down 2. And a nurse.
We're short 2. And we've advertised for those positions?
Yeah, we have some more applications.
You have applications?
We offered some positions, but people decided to turn them down, so we're back to drawing board in a couple of
Oh,
those.
so you're gonna advertise again?
No, we have some more applicants.
You have some more?
When I say there's some more upstairs. Yep.
The reason they turned you down?
Some was money, some was other things, some was discussing what might be in their background.
Any of those people have previous experience
Some did.
that turned it down?
Yep.
Military previous experience or?
One had corrections, some had military. We have some more of that corrections too, but again, sometimes they're not working other places because there's reasons for that. So once you dig a little bit, it's sometimes background checks, you lose a lot of people on background checks. put it that way. And not just us, that's the sheriff's department, that's any PD, it's difficult to get clean backgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first hurdle, well, second hurdle. PT test first.
What are we doing
awards.
to try to reverse the turnover?
What are we trying to do to reduce turnover?
Other than finances? Anything other than finances?
Well, we already do awards for recognition last year, which was never done before.
Yeah.
Give out pins and ribbons now, which wasn't done before. Class A days for sense of pride. Position, once we're fully staffed. In the back, that will be for policies, procedures, some slight programs and those kinds of things. It's in my staffing levels, so I've changed some things around. And some staffs have been very forward to that. Try and make that either like a year position, so other people get the opportunity, so some of the younger staff or newer staff, whatever, it gives them an opportunity to come off the floor and do those kinds of things and then go back. So on those type of ends, we have supervisor meetings every month, try to find out, engage how the staff's feeling. I mean, I gotta be honest with you, a big part of it is pay. You know,
Yeah.
but we've discussed that at length's end.
Mhm.
That's gonna always be a problem. When you're the lowest paid county, it's difficult.
Yeah.
Is there a big difference between our county and other counties in pay?
Yeah.
Huge or big, or?
At the beginning, how does that look at? Yes, we're lowest paid to start with in the county, then $13.25, then you go to, after 6 months in a year, to $14.25. There is no step increases, no plan afterwards. Every county has a plan afterwards. They have usually 10 steps or 10 step increases. New Hampshire is after 10 years you're vested, so you get them, they know where they're gonna be each year. And that's minus if they get the cost of living that just increases those steps. So we'll take Belknap County and Coos County, similar geographical regions. Belknap, they start over 17 and change, plus 10 steps, and they've lost one over the past couple of years. Coos starts a little over $15 an hour, and it's 10-step increases, and they've lost no over the past couple of years.
And we're at 14 and a quarter?
14 and a quarter with no long-term plan.
Right.
The other counties too have step programs, but again, their turnover rate is not as high as ours. They still have turnover rate. But again, when you have a staff of 60, 70, you can absorb turnover rate.
Mm-hmm.
We have a smaller staff and lost 17 last year, and we're up to be 16 this year. That's 100% turnover in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what we're looking at and what we're faced with. So it's constant training. It's over and over again, which also drops morale because they can't get going forward on anything. There's, next thing you know, there's a new person to the door, or retraining. As you're retraining, they can't work the floor yet, so they've got several weeks of training to learn how to be a correctional officer before they can get signed off to work the floor again. And by about that time, we're turning back around and there's going to be somebody else new to the door. I'm not going to say money's not everything. Even raise it up, we're still going to have turnover. Correction is the highest rate of all law enforcement for turnover. But somehow we need to slow it down. So.
You suppose because they didn't get a raise last year, that had something to do with people leaving?
No, I think it's long-term. There's looking at it. The last three, two went back with their parents to go back to school. A sergeant left to go back to school because he said, I'm a sergeant, but yeah, I make a little more than the officers, but the writing is on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
There's
No
nothing,
advancement.
there's no pay advancement to see where you're going to be at in the future where you can plan out your life.
Mm-hmm.
So why? And then we've had other ones leave. Right now, you can, the housing market's come back in places, so they're not staying in this county, they're leaving to swing a hammer for $15 an hour and plenty of overtime and not dealing with the mental health issues and other things that they're running into next door that we have.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a lot of competition. Competition in law enforcement in general. You know, Texas alone is looking for 3,122 correctional officers.
Hmm.
That's what's shutting down 2 jails. They're offering free housing. They can't keep up with people going to shell companies and making money there. There are a lot of competing things right now. State prison in New Hampshire, they had that open job looking for 60 officers. They're going to open a new female prison. They're going to be looking for more. State benefits, more money. So the competition is fierce,
Mm-hmm.
and it's hard to attract. First is attracting. We can get some people, the right people to attract here, and we get very limited how many people that put in for here, and then retention. So we have two folds: how to get them through the door and how to keep them.
Yep.
How long is the training once they come through? Brand new, no experience. How long is the training period before?
Before they can work on the
Yeah.
floor. Now, safely. Depending on the person, we try to accelerate as fast as we can to get them at least to one position on the floor. But you're looking at least 3 weeks of training to learn policies, procedures, how to work with offenders. Most places are 4 to 5 weeks beforehand because of staffing issues. It's a delicate balance, and we work individual with each person. Some are able to accelerate a little faster, some are not, but there's PREA has to be done. Some
Yep.
light defensive tactics has to be done. There are things that have to be done first, depending how fast they grab that and how they understand that, we're able to get them on. After that, when they work the floor, they do have to go to an academy, and the contract says as best as possible within 18 months. And that is a 5-week academy, Monday through Friday. And then
Within 18 months
of hiring, as reasonably as possible, which again, we're not able to sometimes meet that, but again, we're trying to meet that.
So we got 2 months worth of pay invested if they stay more than 18 months, right? The first 3 weeks of training plus 5 weeks at the academy.
Yes.
And the academy, they were doing 2 a year, are they doing 3 now?
Trying to
4
do
now.
4 a year.
4 this year, huh?
And they're going to try to stay consistent with 4. Again, consider the southern part of the state, they're competing with jobs that are coming back. They're seeing a little higher turnover rate.
Really?
So it's not just, they're not as high as us as when I talked to Rockingham. He's having high turnover rate, but his high turnover rate is 12%. Us is 100%, 2 years, 50%.
Percent or people?
12%. So, but again, when you're looking at 100 and some odd officers compared to us,
Yeah.
It's still terrible, the overtime's terrible and everything else, and
Yeah.
it hurts.
Okay.
So have you laid out some recommendations in your mind that would alleviate some of the turnover? I mean, I'm brand new to this, so I'm just picking this up for the first time, but do you have some steps in mind that would
With the union
alleviate?
contract.
Yeah, trying to address it with the union contract, which has never been addressed before with some of the things that Commissioner Sorensen is sitting on. There could be some cleanup and some big help with that, if it's able to come to resolve. That would be a first step.
Yeah. We're gonna start lifting the starting rate. Yeah, in one item. I won't go into it because we're still negotiating it, but-
Negotiations.
Yeah, we're gonna make some steps.
And, you know, attracting those people to stay. And as you know, I'll just throw out there, makes other people scared is when you watch these meetings, not just the delegation, and they turn around, they want to cut the insurance and make the employees pay more and this, without raising any pay. There's not a lot of reason why people want to come here. They can go and watch what's going on here. I can go over to Babson County, their insurance costs a lot less, and it paid more. I go to state, and their insurance costs less, and paid more. So it's those competing harms of what's being said out into the public, on top of actually what is going on as well, too, because we are low. So you have both factors going on.
Yeah. Okay, where are we on our budget? I guess we took back any increases in the salaries until the union contract is.
Yeah, there's no increase in salaries.
Right.
So, what I figured the first time, I just figured it wrong because it didn't add the shift differential, weekend differential.
Yeah.
That's why it shows a little different. Oops.
Yep.
And again, what's spent now compared to end of the year, because I have to remind, is that the holiday pay has not been paid out yet. That'll be another big spike.
Yeah.
For sure. I'm assuming they'll get paid 10 holidays at the end of the year in one check. They don't get time and a half on the holidays. They get a check. By contract, they get a check at the end of the year.
Okay.
All right, so these numbers will spike significantly next month.
Let's look at medical services and supplies. I believe you put in 85?
Yep, and then when I got the latest results, or the latest update from the business office downstairs, projecting what we're paying out, it's actually like 140 some odd $1,000 without the doctor's contract, and that
Yep.
was medical fees and service and supplies. And so I put it down to 120. It's one of those things I can't predict next year. 2 or 3 surgeries, and this big ones, the line's gone.
Yep.
You could put a contingency fund as a possibility, or following the trends for this past year of where it's at.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Jason and I have talked quite a bit about this, and it's astronomical what we pay for medical expenses. And to have this young man try to set a budget and then have 2 operations in 2 weeks that cost $36,000 that aren't budgeted throws the whole thing out of whack. I believe he went to either Merrimack or Rockingham, and they set up, I hate to use the term slush fund, but some kind of a fund that goes in under the commissioner's budget, I think he told me.
This Sullivan County, the superintendent was there, convinced them to put, I think it was like $50,000 on the side in case of those rather large emergencies. Because this normal budget here, that medical supplies and services, is your normal hospital visit, I should say normal, it's your dental visits, your hospital visits. It could be very simple procedures. It is the medications itself, which are very expensive. It's all those things. But when you add a couple of surgeries, it's huge. So what we had talked about was putting money on the side, whatever we decide, maybe $40,000, that if it was a one-time, you go to hospitals one time, anything over $5,000, I go to the commissioners and say this one-time event's over $5,000. Do you want to look at this fund? Let's take a look at where we're really at in the other line. Do you want to take it out of that line or this line? But at least you would know anything that's over, whatever threshold you want to make it. If you want to say a one-time event is over 3, but I would say probably 5, because $3,000 event is not that, it's not that.
Well, let's decide right now. We're going to put $40,000 in the commissioner's budget to cover this? Or any other medical?
Yes, I'd like to do it, I think 45,000. With what we're faced this year for a fiscal bumpy road, that we might be smarter with 35 or 30, and at least that would take some of the huge spike out of it that we got last year for these weird cases. I'd like to see 30, and in our budget, and it can only be, Jason would have to come to us, and if it's over a $5,000 expense, then it could be paid out of this fund.
A $5,000 for one-time event, right? That I'm looking at, because the hospitals itself, like Huggins, they bill us once a month for everything. You'll see a $10,000 bill, but that is several offenders, several different things.
This is one offender,
One time, okay.
one case, if they fall down and split their head open and they've got to see 5 or 6 different doctors, that's all one case and over $5,000.
Like we had this year with 2 people that are about $15,000 a piece, and a third one for $10,000. Those that would have come to you automatically on this type of thing.
Can't be spent for anything else, has to stay in the fund at the end of the year if it isn't used. And, you know, try to make these budgets so that they're more realistic and not affected by a 1 or 2 time charge.
I'm thinking, are there any other departments that would fall in that same category? Are we talking strictly health?
Well, the nursing homes in there, with 104 or 103 residents there, the spikes, sure, they're gonna get some high costs, but with that many residents, I would think that it would level out the curve somewhat. I think Jason's by himself.
All right, so this isn't including any kind of retirement payout like in our office?
No?
That'd
No.
have to be separate?
This is strictly a medical, I don't know, what can we call it? A medical
Emergency fund
emergency fund in the commissioner's office?
for
Offender medical fund or something that has offender or inmate on it, so it doesn't look like.
You can use the word.
Yeah.
I can. Am I allowed to use inmate?
In offender?
We're transitioning.
You're going back. Okay. I
Okay.
finally got used to the language.
What do the PC police come up with? What are we gonna call it?
Inmate emergency medical fund, if it will fit. Does that work? Okay. Abbreviate emergency, obviously, but.
And I'll create up a form and everything, like if it happens, what we're looking for, the form, the date, everything else, that we'll submit to you if we run into that. I hope not, but as you know, I can't predict that.
No, I'd suggest we put 30,000 in that.
Is it one of those things too, you can roll over from year to year, if we don't use it next year, can you say it's in the fund? Because that would be great, if you build up a little bit, have a year you don't use it, because.
Well,
No, I
we don't
think you
build up.
replenish it.
We replenish
Oh,
it,
replenish.
bring it back to 30.
Okay. Because I was talking about places, one open heart surgery.
Don't push your luck.
Please, I don't want that.
Ashley, you agree with that?
Yep, that's fine.
And you suggested it, so.
Yep.
30,000 from the board, okay.
To go in the commissioner's budget.
In the commissioner's budget, right.
Can I ask just a
Dennis, do you have
question?
any comment on it?
But I think it's a good idea.
Okay.
It's something I don't know. If someone has private health insurance,
We try to build them.
We get,
We get that.
we do have the ability to bill them.
We build
for
them,
that.
and then also all our bills are at the Medicaid rate, 110%, as much as possible. Statute, still, when you're talking specialists and 2 other things that happen.
Right. I didn't know if private insurance gets put on hold when someone's incarcerated or if it continues to
Sometimes
cover
it
them.
continues. Yeah.
Oh.
And we go, if we have it, we go after their private insurance to get the pay out of them.
okay, so under that item, medical services and supplies, we leave it 120?
just what you paid out this year, I mean, you want to knock it down to 100 and then leave the 30,000 on the side? I mean, I've looked at what we paid this year and trying to predict next year. I'm telling you that we paid about 140 this year.
Why don't we knock it to 110, put 30 in the slush fund? Some of that 110 would have been something that, had we had this, would have been paid out of there.
Correct.
So, a minimum of, I'd take a minimum of 10 out of the 120.
All right, make it 110? Asha?
110? So what are we talking about?
Medical
From 30 to 110?
from 120 to
120 to
110.
110, line
Dennis,
item
what do you think?
26.
Okay, let me see. Oh, you reduce it, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's fine.
Dennis? You agree?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Medical doctor expense.
That's our contract with the physician. He comes in twice a week.
When does that come due?
Still one more year in the contract.
One more year, okay. And what?
That has
and-
really saved us money.
He has saved, from what I understand in the past, he has saved quite a bit of money. Everything has to go through our doc before they even get sent out to the hospital, including these emergencies. They're on call, they get a hold of them. Yes, they can go out, no, they can stay, and I can come in and see them. So everything has to go through there first before
Okay.
some of these big ones.
How did we arrive at a price for a contract of $68,958? I mean, that, it seems an odd number for,
Yeah.
It's odd.
Oh.
Some of the stuff is odd numbers. I'm like, I don't know.
okay. You
Would you
think
see-
it would have been rounded to 70 or 69 or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you see, we make sure we get a copy in our office? We're trying to keep track of all contracts
Yeah,
Okay.
in
actually,
one folder in our office.
speaking of that,
I mean, you can have it too, but,
before I go today, we have some contracts to look at. before I go
Okay.
today. Just don't forget.
all right. Mental health,
You'll see mental health up, programs down. What happened before is mental health was kind of mixed in with some of the programs. Mental health contract is $30,000. The $5,900, I guess I could round it up, is unknown again if we have to have the psychiatrist to use it. He's $250 an hour to use him, and that was not put in here before, and we have had to use him quite often. What happened in the past was,
he comes normally.
nope, it used to come normally.
He used to come normally.
And it
that's what I
cost the
meant.
county a lot of money.
Yep.
It came normally, and it wasn't used as much, so the previous superintendent said, you know what, let's do it as
As needed.
But
Mhm.
again, looking at the budget, wasn't quite budgeted as needed, and you need to put something in there to say that, okay, we're using, because just the mental health alone for the Northern Human Services, Jim Stoddard comes in twice a week, is $30,000.
Yep,
That's
Okay.
just above and beyond.
all right.
And I lowered the programs because the GED/HiSET program is $12,000 for that person to come in. And then about $1,000 pays for all the testing, because once they're done, they got to test for the HiSET/GED. And we've been very fortunate. I believe we have had 6 or 7 get their GED/ it's not GED more, it's called HiSET, which New Hampshire and a couple of states have gone to. So that was very good for the offenders, so they got that under their belt. Offenders.
Chairman?
Go ahead.
Jason, somewhere along the line, could you have Ian keep track of this is the first time we've had I've been successful with GEDs in a long time.
Mhm.
Could you have him keep track about whether any of these characters return after they either here, I don't know whether they have records, whether they get sent anywhere else, but just for the heck of it, to see if more education means less robberies or something like that?
Yeah, you may have it, but, yeah, no problem. So as we're on a list, do you want to go back to salaries for a second? I did what you asked about, looking about payouts. In the salary lines and those kinds of things, there is no I won't call it slush. There is nothing put in there for relief factor when officers take vacation, that kind of stuff. There is also no relief factor for anybody that leaves, that get their payout, just so you know. When we had several people leave, get payouts.
Yeah.
If you took all the people, the highest people that were at our place, you'd be paying about $110,000. Not gonna happen. If you took the top 3, which some are close to possibly leaving next year, one with the benefits when they're leaving, contractor benefits, vacation, sick, about 13 grand. Another one be 12 grand, and another one around 12 grand. That's if we took the top 3. When I talked to Superintendent Pelkey, he builds in money into the salaries. As, you know, he doesn't use it, great, that's left over to end of the year, no one left. But when they do leave, otherwise you still have to pay for it, and your salary line money is over. So I did break down what it would be for the top ones. I don't know if you want to add that or not, but I have.
You're gonna have to add that if we don't have any turnovers. Because right now, we're having turnovers, and the money that's in there before we hire a new one now is covering that.
No.
It's not.
No, you look at salary lines, because people being out, FMLA, what the salary line covers now is basically, yeah, their salaries, but out, FMLA, military leave, all those things are also covered, eat up that salary. Just because somebody's not on staff doesn't mean that we're not replacing some other way. So if you look at what's being spent, it's still on par about where it's at.
All right, let me ask you this. What's happening to the money? You have 2 vacant positions right now. What's happening to that money?
Well, overtime is cutting some of it.
But you got an overtime budget that
I do
covers
have an
that.
overtime budget, but I'm looking at the salary line, and again, this is my first one building, I can tell you the salary line, we're very close to being at or over with all that turnover. And I came out of the business office, and that was what was budgeted in the past. So you can look at what was spent, and that's all I can do is go from the previous to what was spent. It's
Yeah.
the first time I did too. And where we're at. So it is being spent. Where it was under budget to begin with, I'm not sure, but I also know that all those payouts came out of there. There were some significant ones. We had a sergeant leave after 5 years, superintendent leave, 2 sergeants, excuse me, that had a significant amount of time, a retirement that was out of there that had a significant amount of time. All those were lump sums that came out of that line.
Okay.
And all I'm saying is I have what was asked of me to put the top ones together, so you know if they left next year, you'll be looking at top 3, be, you know, like 10, 20, 30, $34,000. If top 3 left.
Right.
Well, this is what we talked about to begin with, we're having another fund in the commissioners. And I thought we did something about it. We talked about 6 people here a while back. I think Dennis was here last week and
Yes, talking
2
about
weeks
stairs.
ago when we did it. And I thought we decided that we'd figure on either 3 or 6 people and X amount of dollars to, again, take some of the spike out of it if they leave and it's not budgeted for.
They go to the commissioner's budget?
Yeah.
If you put on a commissioner's budget, then the business office just notifies you for that, even though it's contractual out of different departments. And so they'll take it out of that line, or you put it into, building into the places that contractually owe that.
Well, you know, it's a
Well, we
bottom
need-
line budget, so, right?
Yeah.
When you get all said and done, but I mean, we could take money and allocate it out of the commissioner's line and back into your budget to offset it, but I guess that's the question we have to answer ourselves.
Well, I think that could happen with our office.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
Maybe registry of deeds.
yeah.
you
They
just need a
wouldn't have money
mechanism.
to cover it either.
You just need a mechanism that comes out of commissioner's budget of how you want to be notified from the business office that a person is getting this payout.
Yep.
And again, whether it's a threshold that you want to say it's at because you know it's going to be a significant spike in these budgets, or you want to just fund it totally. And again, I'm not sure how you'd want to do it. That'd be something to think about.
We can come up with a mechanism for tracking that and funding it.
I have a question about the part-time salary, what you put in at 2568. What is that again?
That was part-time salaries was mixed into regular salaries as the part-time officers that we use instead of using overtime. We have three,
Yeah.
well, we have one person that's regularly part-time, that's 16 hours a week. part-time, and then you have a couple of part-timers that we call in and try to use them instead of the overtime.
Make
He
sure
was
that-
mixed in both.
Make sure they don't go over 30 hours a week.
Yes.
All right, do we want to set a figure as to what we put in the reserve for?
Didn't we do that?
No,
No, we haven't
just
we
done that.
talked about it, but we did not
Didn't
do it.
Okay.
Um,
And what did we call, we were gonna use Ossipee's,
It's in the minutes from last week,
On
I'm
the-
sorry. Yeah, page, I think.
I don't believe it was last week, I think it was the week before. wasn't it?
Was it the week before?
Well, no, this is
No, it would've
Dennis's
been last
first,
week.
this is Dennis's first, second
Oh,
day here, so
okay.
had to be last week.
Accrued, she has a line item already for it in the budget. It's under special fees and services in the main budget, so whatever page that is on.
in the jail budget?
No, in the overall budget, so it should be
Oh, right.
on page 4 of your big packet.
Page 4.
Yeah.
You decided last week to increase the amount that's in that line to $20,000.
We came up with a
Accrued
dollar.
benefit pay fund.
Yep, you said
thought we did.
20,000 last time.
We put 20,000 in
Oh,
there.
I didn't know we came up with an
Yeah, I
amount.
thought we did.
And you
Okay.
renamed it accrued benefit pay fund.
Oh, yeah, there it
Right.
is.
Yeah.
So your top three, Jason, are how much
About 33,000
in total?
in total.
For 3 people.
That would be vacation and sick days if they left
Yes.
or retired. That's what we'd have to fork over.
Could I ask, is the business office generating a report like that for each department, or is each department head being asked to do what he's done?
We asked
Each-
somebody last week to, maybe Dennis suggested, I think Dennis suggested it, that they build a report on the top 4 or 5.
It was asked by
or all of
us.
them.
We did it ourselves.
Yeah.
It just seems that information should be readily available already in the payroll software
I think so.
system. But in any event, my ultimate question is, when do you expect to have all of those together so that you know what the real number is, so that you can set a realistic budget for that line item?
Well, he's the only one that's got it so far.
Okay.
You think 20,000 is going to be enough?
Well, you gotta play the odds somewhere along the line, and I think, didn't we have some information? We'd only had 1 or 2 people leave, and maybe.
Well, yeah, more than 1 or 2 people leave, it's been absorbed in.
It's been absorbed.
It's been absorbed.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what fluctuations you've seen in the salary
Probably
lines.
still try to absorb it.
And that's what you had said, that this fund was only to be used for those budget times when it couldn't absorb.
Yeah.
This isn't to be used for all accrued payments.
All right. It's in our budget. It's in at 20,000 right now.
Yep.
Okay?
David, I'm not sure I'm comfortable with having it in there and based on what we can't get out of some other line item. I would prefer to see it, the whole thing paid out of that line item, then replenished if necessary, and then your salaries would really be far more accurate because you haven't taken part of it out to pay off for unfunded accrual.
Yeah.
So you're gonna do that throughout the county, Dave? Every department? Anybody that leaves, all of that vacation pay comes out of this one fund? Is that what you're gonna?
That's what I would do, so it doesn't spike
Wouldn't make
the
it.
salaries. Huh?
We wouldn't be able to make it for 20,000. I don't think.
Well, when we get the report, we'll find out. We can adjust it up if we have to.
It seems the payroll.
Dennis, you're the one with the experience here. What would you suggest? Taking part of it out of vacant salaries or having it come out
I
of one
would,
line
I
item?
would just soon take it all out of one line item, so we have some history in it, we can track it, and we can have anticipation what it's gonna cost the county on an ongoing basis. So if you have it in one line item, and you get some history in it, we're gonna know that on average it's 27,000 or whatever, I mean, you average 3 years together, we're gonna know what to budget for it. But if we had it in one spot, we could build a history on it, and I think that's a good place to do it.
And you can post, I've seen before in the past, you also, a lot of counties will put a letter out to all departments. If anybody's going to retire next year, please let us know. And then it also gives you an idea, okay, they're retiring, this is what their benefits are when they leave.
Mhm.
So you catch a few of them ahead of time. There's always some always leave, but I mean, you catch them ahead of time.
We could have HR do that, send that out.
Yeah,
That's okay.
Well, if it's gonna encompass all departments, let's make it 30.
you gotta make it higher than what it is.
Yep, let's make it 30.
And again, the payroll software system downstairs should be able to tell you how much was paid out in 2013 and 14, I would hope, with just a couple of strokes of the keys.
It'd be nice to have that
So
information.
you'd have a real number to base your budget figure on.
Well, at least to give us some confidence that the number is close. Yeah,
Don't worry about it being too small.
yeah.
Okay.
If that number is overspent, if you find this time next year, if that line item is overspent, are you able to pull from the various department budgets to replenish and bring that
Have
to
to.
even? Is that what would happen?
We may have to go back to the delegation, but it would only seem right that it would come out of the respective departments.
Okay, other fees and services,
Mhm.
we increased that, or you did?
I did. The fees and services, that is, your Relias Learning went into that, which is another contract.
Yeah.
Other fees and services.
You're gonna have a list of those for the subcommittee to add up to that 8670,
Yeah,
right?
yep.
You had asked at one of your previous meetings to have a new legal line created.
Well, that's true.
Did you
That's
still want that to happen, or?
That's also encompassing the legal. Downstairs, Kathy here showed me some numbers where she's going to move it on the sheet, because I did break it down. Because in that legal, of that line I added in there, and legal was, if you just put in the union negotiations and the outside legal fees, it's $18,500. Again, I will say, if you're looking at union negotiations, because it's a contract between the county and the union, does it come out of the county's budget for those line items, or does it come out of each individual department? Because some people put it right out of the commissioner's line, because it is a contract between the commissioners and the union. But again, that was what cost us for legal. That's why it's between the Relias Learning we paid for and me adding what we spent on legal, because that number is going to be over already this year, because legal was not budgeted
Mm-hmm.
at all.
So other fees and services, you have that program and legal fees are in it?
Yeah.
I think it would be better if you just put the legal fees, so we can have.
And I have that broken out.
Oh, you have?
Downstairs, she has a different number for me, just a chance to run it. Because I broke it down already to different legal fees.
You had a total of 18,000?
$18,500 for what we spent this year on legal fees.
In the legal fees, that is also included the union contract?
That'd be the union negotiations and then outside investigations that have taken place. So, yep, that includes all of that.
I thought we had it in the nursing home budget.
Why would we have legal fees for?
Again, it would be
Department.
just union contract for the nursing home?
But that contract would cover corrections too?
No,
Oh,
no.
I'm sorry.
That's, you weren't confused, I was wondering exactly the same
Oh,
thing.
okay.
No, I thought we had union contract on the legal, under the nursing home, to take care of the contract for the nursing home.
Oh, you're
And
talking
then
about
have legal under the
classification.
jail.
Okay, you're
Take care of
talking
the jail
about- yeah.
contract.
Yeah.
We have no legal line.
David, I've got a
Right.
question, and it's something that's kind of bugged me over the years. Now, we have legal here, and there's really, as far as I'm concerned, two types of legals. There's union negotiation, and then
Yep.
there's either we're a defendant or a plaintiff. Two different. Why can't our system be set up to say legal, and then break it down? Legal one is
Union.
union negotiation, and legal two is litigation or something of that nature.
Could do that for tracking. For example,
Yeah, we should
if
have a
our
legal
unions
line.
go through as we have scheduled them, there wouldn't be any legal fee for attorneys for the union next year.
Correct. If this goes through, there's
We would have it.
about 10 grand, what I calculated for ended, low 10 grand would come back. We
Yeah.
wouldn't need it.
For next year.
Correct.
But then the following year,
You need to bump it back
put
up
it
again.
again.
And that's why I said, I don't know if you put it in a commissioner's budget where it's steady, because you know you're gonna have legals, fees of either investigations, union contracts, where it stays there, or again, every year it's gonna be, every other year when there's a contract, there will be a bump.
I'd rather see it in with the departments than have two line items like
Yeah,
Dave
me too.
suggested. One for legal union and one for all other, or whatever you want.
Okay,
But
it should be
We should be
separate.
tracking what we're paying on these legal negotiations, on
Yeah.
the union negotiations.
So two separate legal lines in the
We should
contract
have
realm.
separate, yeah.
In any
Itemize.
department that we have union negotiations, I
Yeah.
think we should track the
Be
legal fees
broken
for
out.
that.
Yeah.
So to have
So we
a
need-
legal and then another union negotiations line, so we're adding two lines?
Yeah.
Is that what you're suggesting?
Or have legal, and legal one would be union negotiations, legal two, and right underneath it, just like a outline. And two would be litigation or all other or whatever.
Well, the way this is set up,
Yeah, I
Dave,
don't
it'd be
think
two
hers
separate,
allows
it'd be two
that.
separate line
Two
items.
less
It'd be
separate line
legal
items.
union and legal
Yeah.
services or whatever.
It really doesn't make any difference as long as they're broken out.
Yeah,
Exactly.
so we can
So we'll
see.
ask
So we
for
can
that.
do, that. We can ask, you want to ask Kathy Gary to look at legal, you've already done it for 18,000 in yours.
Yep, I can have it broken down two sections, though.
Yep.
So we can see both.
And we can do it for the sheriff's department, we
We
can do
should
it for
have it
the
in every department.
nursing home. Hmm?
Yeah.
Should have it in every department.
No,
when it
just
comes
those
to
three.
legal.
Yeah.
Is
Just those,
she able to, if we have two lines and you're gonna put it in legal and you're gonna have 018 and 017 already here, and let's say legal is 017, is she gonna be able to, does that mean she has to move all the rest of them to make the other legal line
in the jail,
019?
in the jail, it's 017, 018, it jumps to 025, so why can't she put it in there?
Well, yeah, I think she could use it, but don't we wanna have those legal, don't we wanna have, let's say, all other legals, all the same account number throughout the complex? So if we have to look at it and say, see how much we spent in total for, she can
Oh, I
hit
don't know.
025 and it'll tell us all the legals or whatever number we use.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Unless they used up.
I'm remembering something about the way that the Department of Revenue categorizes expenses that gives them, it's where